I'm honored to introduce the first guest speaker for today, Mr. Vinay Vishwanath. With a profound passion for forensic analytics, Mr. Vishwanath serves as the Associate Vice President at Lab Systems, the pioneers of digital forensics and digital fraud investigations in India, led by Mr. S. Venkatesan. As the leader of the new initiatives vertical at Lab Systems, Mr. Vishwanath brings a wealth of experience from renowned organizations such as Ernst & Young, HCL Technologies, and AC Nielsen. His expertise in the field is widely recognized, having been invited as a speaker and guest lecturer at prestigious institutions like IIT, Gujarat University, NFSU, and various other prestigious conferences. With his deep knowledge and insights in forensic analytics, Mr. Vishwanath has been instrumental in driving advancements and innovations in the field. His expertise in combating digital fraud and his dedication to staying at the forefront of industry trends make him a remarkable speaker poised to enlighten us all with his invaluable expertise. Sir, welcome to the session.
Good afternoon, Minaji.
Sir, you're on mute.
Sorry. Good afternoon, sir. Ravi, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you, and most welcome, Minaji. Thank you for sparing your time.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always a pleasure to be associated with you, and Venkatesan sir and you go a very long back. So it's always a pleasure, sir. And thank you, Priyanka ji, for such a wonderful introduction. Blessed and honored. Thank you. Sir, can I start? Can I take Priyanka ji, someone?
Yes, sir, you can start.
Okay, great. So what I will do is I'll turn off my camera for better bandwidth, and I will share my screen currently. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Sure. Thank you. Who can share? Okay, me. Okay. Priyanka ji, is my screen seen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I hide this somewhere? Yes. So, firstly, I start by saying thanks again to Ravi Kumar sir, to Amity University, to organize this fantastic value-added course for the students and faculty. So what I will do in the next an hour or so, I will try to touch base on multimedia forensics. We will take you through a few things. What is the present scenario? An overview of digital forensics and incident response, and multimedia forensics. Multimedia forensics is my area of interest, and I have been blessed at Lab Systems to do a lot of cases around multimedia forensics. So I'll take you through that specifically of how do we look at image and video-based evidences. So Lab Systems as a company started in the year 1989 by Mr. Venkatesan, my mentor. And from that day, Lab Systems is committed to provide different kind of scientific solutions to the community of law enforcement agencies and the corporate sector. In the year 2001, we exclusively went into digital forensics. And from there, our exploration in different digital devices, different technologies actually began when we talk about digital forensics. And this is back there in 2001, when half the people did not have computer at their homes, and we still could, it used to take, as I'm reminded by Yogendra ji, it used to take around a day or so to image a large hard disk. So from there to today, we have come a long way. We work with almost all government agencies. all state police authorities, forensic science laboratories, and leading banks and insurance companies. As a company, we provide products and services in various types of areas. So digital forensics actually covers everything that is digital in nature. Either it is a device where the data is at rest, or it is a device where the data is at transit. Different types of data will require different sense of analysis. Like we have disk forensics, and I'm sure you all students are aware of this. I'm just reiterating this to set the proper context. Disk forensic purely focused for laptops, desktops, and disk. Mobile forensics, the name is sufficient. Network forensic, how does a person has reached to a particular website, what were the routers that were touched, and what are the inbound and outbound traffic. All those can be analyzed with the help of network forensics. Mac forensics, dedicated for Apple-based iOS devices, generally termed as iMac or MacBooks. Forensic accounting is for bank account statements which require deep understanding. Big data forensics is a combination of all kinds of forensics where you have structured as well as unstructured data. Social media analysis, in the last 5 to 6 years, we have seen the rise of social media. And in fact, in COVID, we have seen more social media users gaining popularity. And it is also a platform for knowledge. It's a platform for communication, but unfortunately, it has also been made a platform for crime. So when that criminal activity is performed using social media, that requires a certain kind of investigation of finding out whether it is through active or passive techniques to identify what has happened. Forensic analytics, again, combining everything together, doing a fusion or a link analysis. Data leak analysis, when employees leave organizations, they generally are stupid enough to take data with them. So that kind of infiltration, or a malware based or a ransomware based infiltration is also possible. Cloud data, or everyone is using Gmails and Amazon web servers. So all that forensics which is required, that is also being performed, and acquisition of that is done. And a digital forensic audit to understand the readiness of a particular organization to perform digital forensics at the time of a crime. We do a lot more of this as well. We provide end-to-end investigation services from receiving the case till reporting the case in the court of law. And as we speak at this very moment, you would have 30 of our engineers at different cities and states to enable law enforcement agencies with their investigations. Moving on to look at what is the present scenario and what are we seeing in the market. So cyber attacks and frauds, where is the evidence? That is always the first question. Evidence is the starting point for us or someone reporting the case, and we start looking out and searching for evidences. We have hard disk, servers, USB storage, email, unstructured cloud. You have the mobile phone. A lot of people have CCTV footages in their internal and external premises. You have backup servers. In last few months, we have heard an unfortunate cyber attack on AIIMS Delhi as well. So all that is an area of interest for us, including the modern day drones. Just like CCTV work, drones also are able to provide us with visual intelligence at the area of interest of us. So this is what we are looking at. When we look at these kind of evidences during the course of our investigative processes, we have found out there is 3 major things to look at whenever we are looking at from a implementation standpoint. You look at people, you look at technology, and you look at operations. This Rubik's Cube, you can search this on Google as well. It is not created by me. I have taken it from Google, but this has actually enabled us to do a lot of investigation. So between people and operations, there will be risk management, pattern recognition, how the fraud has happened, and process control. So whenever you're investigating a particular person, look at what was the risk management policy already in place. Look at what are the patterns. Sorry. So look at what are the patterns does the user is following for a long time, and what is the current process control which is implemented and what has been bypassed. Because unless and until you understand what is already being implemented, it becomes very difficult to understand the modus operandi or the psychology behind the crime. When you look at people and technology, so people, investigators will use technology to perform acquisition first. You always acquire your evidence first. Then you will ideally save that evidence into a master copy, which is called as preservation. And then you will run at analysis. And then any kind of investigation, forensic, is concluded by an opinion. It is not a result, it is an opinion of the scientific officer in the court of law, which when presented in the right way will lead to least possible resistance, presentation of factual informations. When we look at the present scenario from a technology and operations point of view, whatever technology is used for investigation should be relevant to the investigation, should be admissible in the court of law. And if the defense lawyer or someone would like to, validate it, it should be verifiable. Every forensic process is repeatable and verifiable, except for a few set of processes which follow destructive processes, like in terms of drug samples or explosive devices, explosive samples. So they are destructive in nature. Only after that you can identify. But in terms of digital forensics, we don't have this challenge. So any kind of evidence should be verifiable as well. And for this, we use the technique of hash value. So a E01 file format, we will touch base, can be verified by the same other person as well. What kind of cases are currently seen? So we saw what is the evidence that we look at. Second, we saw what are the people, technology, and processes which has to be performed for rightful investigation. Now let us look at a few scenarios in which a digital forensic investigation is generally called as. One is someone stealing your information, a personal secretary, from one board director sending it to another. Crime done via mobile phone or any digital device should be ideally investigated. An employee of a company leaking out sensitive information, and plus he or she uses a forensic tool to delete all the evidence. That kind of cases. Financial frauds. Lawyers asking people to do out of court settlement. So you get a lot of audio recordings, video recordings of that. We had seen an employee of an e-commerce company running his own auction website using the company's cloud servers and infrastructure. And again, people who do business with their associated companies with the names of their families. So all these require different types of investigations. One, you're looking at audio footage. Second, you're looking at disk. Third, you're looking at mobile. Fourth, you are looking at call data records. And there are a variety of evidences which are present in the modern day. In fact, we have seen a few set of cases where Alexa, smart TVs have also information. There has been a recent case where an investigator, with the help of an smartwatch, could understand the elevated blood rate of the person at different instances and could collaborate a certain kind of a pattern. All of this because there is a concept called as Internet of Things. When things start getting internet, when things start getting data and intelligence, there is a new set of requirements which gets generated in terms of investigation. So you will have audio evidences, video evidences, app-based some kind of evidences, and you will also have sensors. how much was the water level at a certain given time, what was the wind speed, all that sensors in a smart city is currently available. Now let us look at digital forensics and incident response. The concept of forensics is a very old way of doing justice or performing analysis. One of the important concepts of forensics is the Locard's exchange principle. So the Locard's exchange principle states that anyone entering a crime scene, okay, takes something of the crime scene when they or leave something. So whenever you're getting into a crime scene, you will either take something or leave something behind. What do you take something off the crime scene? You have taken off a gun, you have taken off a knife or a bed sheet or anything. This could be any kind of evidences. Or you will leave something behind. It could be a footmark. It could be your bottle, shoes, anything. You could just leave behind. And this investigation framework allows law enforcement agencies to understand the modus operandi. But we are talking about digital investigations. So how do we use Locard's exchange principle, which is very relevant in the physical world, into the digital world? Yes, it is possible with the help of understanding the binary alterations in the memory. Whenever a computer gets accessed, whenever a digital device gets accessed, unless and until it is exclusively programmed for not keeping logs or cop keeping, we call it hardened devices, unless it is an hardened device, you will always have a certain alteration which keeps getting happening in the memory. It could be in the RAM, it could be in your disk, or it could be in the cloud server at the via a network device. So we are specifically looking at binary alterations. The next concept, which is important for our investigation, is the duality of analysis. The duality of analysis states that there is a subjective approach for objectification, complete objectification of an object. Subjectively, each one of us are unique in nature. Each one of us is built with a certain perspective. But objectification is purely on the basis of the quality or parameters or metadata of the object. Let us take a very quick example in this. The object being a pen. The subjective analysis would be, I like the pen, how it feels. I do not like the pen, how it feels. I might gift it to someone. I might not gift it to someone. I will buy the pen. I will not buy the pen. Whereas objectification of the pen would be something like the pen is black in color. It is having a 0.7 nib. It is a click pen, and so on and so forth. So objectification will not include subjective biasness. The same way, like the scientific officer would analyze the evidence based on pure scientific analysis. There is one more thought process of logical objectification, which is called as Anvikshiki. My mentor, guru, and our board of, he's there in our board of advisors as well, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai sir. I have learned this subject of Chanakya's Arthashastra, learning from him. And Anvikshiki is a very important concept which is elaborately discussed in that, which is one of the initial knowledge that the king should have. That is the ability to think atomically. Anvikshiki can be divided into two parts. The Sandhi can be solved in two parts, Anu and Ikshiki. Anu means atomic. It is the smallest particle. Parmanu. जब परम अणु हो जाता है, परमाणु हो जाता है, nuclear होता है. So how can we think at the most granular level? And this is only possible by continuously dissecting or classifying your object into smaller and smaller subsets. So each time you classify it, it has to get more granular. So let us try to apply this Locard's exchange principle and logical objectification on a video-based evidence. Okay, how does it apply? Example, I have a video which has 13 frames. The 13 frames, you are looking at one particular frame in that. In that, you are looking at a particular block. And in that block, you are looking at a particular pixel, set of pixel. And in that pixel, you are looking at a particular color and so on and so forth. So with each level of analysis, I am able to dissect further. The Anvikshiki implies thinking in 3 parameters. It is said that Sankhya Yoga Lokayat iti Anvikshiki. Okay, Sankhya Yoga Lokayat, I don't think so it is iti Anvikshiki, but Sankhya, Log and Yokayat are important factors of Anvikshiki. Sankhya, think in numbers. When we spoke about the pen, we were talking in numbers. Pen ka color, agar black color bhi agar aap dekhenge, it will have a particular hex code. When we look at the nib, it will have a particular, parameter, or we are thinking in binary. So you will always look at numbers for scientific analysis. Second, being in calm mind is important for a scientific officer to not take emotional decisions. Third, Lokayat, whatever report the scientific officer is making should be acceptable by everyone, including the court of law. Now, where do we find all these evidences? When we talk about logical objectifications and all these jargon terms, while they are not jargons, when you apply it in your investigation, it is really helpful. But I have also been a student, right? So I understand these are jargons, but our idea is to how do we get to the more granular level. So again, where are the binary alteration? Everything is in the same data, which we had seen earlier in different types of devices. How can we find these? So there are 2 approaches. First, you require hardware. Not always you will be able to do everything with software. Not always you will be able to get the information from the live server directly. So hardware devices are generally used to collect and preserve digital evidences. This could be for mobile phones, this could be for desktops and different kind of disk. So I'm sure you guys are aware of Falcon and TD2 and different other devices as well. These are a few set of forensic tools. We have quite a few tools which have come from different parts of the world. Make in India softwares are still a new area for law enforcement to explore in the area of forensic tools. But yes, we have so many students attending this webinar. I hope some of you start a Make in India company soon. All these tools are graphical user interface which make algorithmic processing very fast. Anything that you want to do, while I've been talking for quite some time, Priyanka ji, am I audible, clear? The meeting is going on fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. So all these forensic tools are nothing but graphical user interfaces to perform complex algorithms. You have an algorithm to extract an mobile phone. You will have another algorithm to extract a disk and then to analyze and so on and so forth. All these tools enable the user to do it easily through their interface. A programmer is more than happy to write Python scripts and perform one task one by one, which makes it a more time-consuming process. And all these tools enable us to do it faster. We also have a few set of tools like MyFRT, which is made in India. It's a disk forensic tools, which we are currently promoting. We also have CoinSpectre for cryptocurrency investigation. We have ICV Pro for computer vision and so on and so forth. So the tools will update depending upon what are the cases. The hardware will update depending upon what are the devices. But the analysis process to identify and correlate evidences still remains the same. So when we use this hardware and software, what can we really extract? There are majorly three categories which we divide the data into. One, the data is present. Second, the data is deleted, but it is not overwritten. And carved, where the data is deleted and partially overwritten. All these can be also further classified into user files, doc, Excel, PDF created by the user for his own usage. Multimedia files, audio, image, video, and now you will have games and NFTs also coming into this area from the metaverse. System files, which Windows, Mac, or any other operating system creates for itself for running of the system. And different other files like databases and which are not created by user, which are not created by the system, but they are created by the software installed on the workstation or the mobile phone, and they create their own set of databases. So depending upon the case, you will look at what kind of information do you want to further analyze. If it's a data theft case, then we look at everything. If it is an internal fraud about two people chatting with each other and everything present in their chats, then we would look out for present data unless it requires further investigation. So very specifically, depending upon the case, we would choose what to investigate. 90% of the time, you will require everything, because there will be a timestamp which will come in system files. There will be a few database files which WhatsApp would create on your mobile phone, multimedia that you would have shared. So all that creates a full-fledged case investigation. In terms of, this is from a perspective of a disk forensic case, what all can we extract? Email files, whether you're using Outlook, any kind of this, Mozilla, all the standard file formats which comes with respect to mail saving, PHP, OSG, MSG format, EML format. Then you have log files, different kind of logs. Logs are created by the operating system. A few times logs are created by a software. A few times logs are created by the server as well. So all these logs are important during an investigation. System files, browser artifacts, container files like zip, rar. When people download, bulk download from Gmail, they would download a zip file. Image and video, call logs, and different types of loose files which are available. And for mobile data specific, you also have mobile apps. So mobile apps, the data, you cannot read a WhatsApp data directly. Okay, you can only read it when it is properly parsed through a application. So parsing that information is also relevant. So all these information, and in the coming days, each of the things will create new kind of data. So all IoT sensors have log by default. Every time there's any transaction, when I talk about transaction, not financial transaction, but data which gets transacted, incoming or outgoing, between multiple networks. If there is a workstation or a server in between, ideally it will record all the network traffic as well. So all this can be extracted in a digital forensic investigation. Once we get these informations, how do we process the analysis? We process the analysis into, firstly, we process it in two parts, data and metadata. Data is आप Word document पे जो लिख रहे हो वो data है, and metadata would be something like which is seen after right clicking into properties, you will see your author name. So that would be metadata. It is data about data. And it is most of the time created by the system. but in case of author names, the example that I gave you, you can edit the author name while you save a Word file as well. So you should understand which data, metadata, is also having user input and which the metadata is created by the system itself. Broadly classifying for investigation purposes, there would be two kinds of files. One is content files, the second is multimedia files. When we talk about content files, they are readable in nature, characters, text, numbers, consisting in emails, Word documents, and other spreadsheets and other files. And when we look at multimedia files, they are viewable either in vector format or in bitmap format. And this could be audio, video, and images. Now digging into multimedia forensics. Okay, I think we have more of 45 minutes to go at least. Okay, let me touch base on this very quickly. I have another slide presentation for this. Let me open that. So this is part of our training document, and since we have students, I hope this is not going to get uploaded anywhere. This is a confidential document. Priyanka ji, please note that.
Okay, sir.
Sure, thank you. So I'm not an expert in audio forensics. Mr. Suhas Kulkarni sir is much better, and he has done much more cases in audio forensic. But what I can, in the next 30 minutes, I can touch base on is multimedia forensics from image and video perspective. So what is an image? An image is nothing but binary representation of a visual information. All our data, whether colors, whether files, whether Word, Excel, PDF, are saved in ones and zeros. And this could be saved in any particular device. So we are here, and please, we are not looking at photographs which are printed manually in this particular topic of discussions. We are looking at digital photographs. The first photograph was taken long back. It was taken in 1826, the first photographs, and the first color photograph in 1861. So you can see the photography as a skill, as analysis technique, is pretty wide and has been used since ages. The images are ideally classified into two major verticals. There is vector and there is raster or bitmap. Vector is something like your font, जो बड़ा करने के बाद भी खराब नहीं होएगा. It is geometrical in nature, or you can see a Corel Draw का logo. अगर आप Corel Draw में बनाते हैं and non-lossy compression. Whereas when we look at raster or bitmap, it is just like array of pixels. Hello. Priyanka ji, I think lost my internet. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're still audible.
Still audible. Great. Great. So images are nothing but arrays of pixels. Let me come to that particular image example and touch base again. So vector not really relevant in investigation. आज तक हमें एक भी मिला नहीं है जो vector based image आए for investigation. I believe the only logical case for this is like if someone has created a logo and वो logo का theft हो गया है, yes, someone is claiming an intellectual property right on it. In those scenarios, there is a possibly a case around the vector files as well. But when we look at images captured from CCTV, mobile phones, or any other recording devices, vector is not really seen. So this is a very a basic difference between a raster and a vector. So you can see vector is like font. अगर font को अगर आप size बढ़ाते जाओगे तो भी वो फटता नहीं है. But if it's saved as a bitmap, the same image will start pixelating. So you can see square boxes around this. So that is map of bits, every single bit. Yeah, this is a better example. So bitmaps would have different color profiles. If you are looking at grayscale, you will have 0 to 255. It's a 256 length. So you will have different varieties of grays, from 0 being black and 255 being pure white. Now, with the innovation in color, you have different color palettes beyond grayscale. You have the RGB, red, green, and blue channel. You have CMYK. You also have the hue, saturation, and intensity model, the HSI channels. So all this is to preserve a certain set of information. What information? The information of the color that is present at the pixel. So you have 3 colors here. You have and different percentages of RGB for each color. So when we look at colors, let me come to this and open my calculator. So you would have seen when LCD screens were very popular that they would advertise 16 million colors. It comes from 256 of red multiplied by 256 of green multiplied by 256 of blue. So this is what the 16 million colors came in. Advancement of technology further, you also started having LED screens. LED screens have light. It's a light emitting diode. So the light emitting diode controls the intensity of the light as well and can create more variations of the color. So if we add 256 of that for specific technology which can do that, then you get your 4K resolution. Ideally, for any kind of multimedia forensic, especially image and video forensic, it is always better to use a 4K resolution monitor, because by default, the hardware itself is bumping up your performances. For the vector raster, so vectors will have such smooth edges. It will be very smooth, whereas rasters will have rough edges. We have seen this calculation just now of red, green, and blue. It is 8 bits per color, which is 1 byte, and that is how file size is being calculated. But when you go forward, you will understand that file sizes, if it was only purely based on saving each and every color, the file size will be too huge. So let us now consider a 10 by 8 picture size with 600 DPI resolution. So 600 into 10 and 600 into 8, you will get the width and height of the screen or the pixel size, number of pixels. And for this many number of pixels, if you want to say RGB information, you will have 84 MB. यहाँ पे तो काफी जन का स्टूडेंट्स का क्वेश्चन रहेगा कि सर बट हमारे मोबाइल पे तो बहुत छोटा फाइल साइज सेव होता है, 84 MB का तो हम फाइल साइज सेव नहीं करते और हमारा तो क्लैरिटी भी बहुत अच्छा है. That is thanks to compression. So you can see an image above and an image below. The original image is around 1.5 MB. After high lossy compression, you can look at 92 KB. That is a huge drastic differences. This compression techniques can be of 2 types, lossy and lossless. Most of the compression used at retail applications, especially or retail devices, mobile phones, everything ideally have lossy compressions by default to maximize the utilization of storage. Lossless compressions ideally used in video management system high functioning cameras or a manual settings on the CCTV or the mobile phone, you can achieve lossless compression as well. Different types of compression, each compression. From a forensic standpoint, compressions is very important because that will enable you to understand what colors or how it has been compressed. Is it a lossy or a lossless compression? And depending upon that, what will be the set of algorithms which would be applicable for enhancement or for authentication? There are a few algorithms which are especially applicable for JPEG to understand whether it has something called as a double compression artifact. So those kind of techniques we can look at once we understand the file types in detail as well. Then comes in video. Okay, we are going to touch base on video, a brief about CCTV, a few set of challenges, and how do we perform authentication and enhancement, an overview of that perspective. So video is nothing but an illusion created by a sequence of images. It is अगर किसी ने flip book देखा रहेगा, olden days there used to be different kind of flip book, and I remember a prominent flip book from Coca-Cola which had Jawaharlal Srinath coming and bowling. If you flip the entire book, so that is which is happening on the screen as well. That is why when we look at mobile phones or TVs, we question something called as the refresh rate. The faster the refresh, better the picture quality. So yes, this is a perceived motion. We are perceiving it. If I reduce the frames per second below 10 frames per second, automatically my requirement automatically the illusion that gets created is more like a GIF image. We see a lot of GIF animation on WhatsApps and Instagrams and everywhere. So the video will more look like that if it is less than 8 to 10 frames. Important concept, keyframe. Keyframe ideally would have most amount of information, and which is also called as the head frame or the eye frame. Keyframe is important in terms of steganography as well. A steganographer who wants to embed any kind of information depending upon the video will choose either to edit a keyframe or not to edit a keyframe, what he or she wants to communicate. So from again forensic standpoint, when is it important? During enhancement, if you have two frames, example a keyframe and a delta frame or a P frame or a B frame, you would ideally choose a keyframe for enhancement. Frame rate, important concept. More the number of frames in a particular duration, the better enhancement or the better the quality of the video will be there. So all slow motion videos that you are seeing is actually capturing multiple frames per second in real time and saving it onto the disk. Multiple frames, more number of frames. Example, 60 number of frames. The same when you record a hyperlapse video, it would record less number of frames in the same number of duration. So one duration for a slow-mo, you would require 60 frames. For high speed hyperlapse kind of a video, you'll require 10 frames. Better the frame rate, better the chances of enhancement. Camera resolution, I need not tell you guys, better the camera resolution, better the chances of enhancement of a video or an image. And in cameras, we calculate resolutions in megapixels, whereas in printer, we calculate in dots per inch, DPIs. Zoom, also a factor that impacts. Aspect ratio, whenever you're working on an investigation which involves enhancement, never change the aspect ratio. In fact, never change the aspect ratio of logos or anything that you use ideally in marketing content as well. But in terms of perspective crop or any of those kind of scenarios, there could be a possible usage of change in aspect ratio as well. Okay. Focal length. I'm sure a lot of people are have a background of physics as well. So focal length is nothing but the distance between the image sensor and the lens. In this particular diagram, you can see here is your sensor and here is your lens. So if you have a wildlife photography kind of a lens which takes a telephoto, you would have like 50 mm of focal length and it will have limited range. Farther you see, less field of view you would have. Nearer you see, wide angle you would be able to see. So focal length enables us to understand if this is a CCTV camera and you have found a vehicle whose number plate you want to enhance and see. किसी के घर पे चोरी हो गया, बाहर CCTV ने कैमरा में नंबर प्लेट देखा, but बारिश गिर रही थी, तो नंबर प्लेट क्लियर नहीं हुआ. So I want to enhance that. So if it is around this area, the probability of it getting enhanced is very high. But if it is beyond the focus area, even though it will be in the field of view, most of the time it would not be able to enhance the quality of an image because there's not enough optical information captured and saved by the sensor into the disk. And whenever you're working, please check for devices. क्या devices use कर रहे हो CCTV में, क्या focal length है, कहाँ से दिखने वाला है, then only an investigation is successfully possible. And please, I'm talking to you guys like Sabjan Galut ke investigation karne wala hai. But yes, this is just my knowledge that I'm trying to share. You might use it in different references. I hope kisi ko kabhi use na karna pade khud ke liye. But if you are, looking at a crime that has committed along, in your neighborhood, please use this knowledge and help them. The compression technique that we saw in image is also very much applicable to videos. You have lossy compression and lossless compression. The compression in video is done by codecs. I don't know, abhi koi torrent se movie download karta hai kya? But a lot of time when we used to download movies earlier and wo VLC mein play nahi hota tha, to ek common error deta tha was codec not found. Codec is nothing but coder and decoder. Coder is at the end of the CCTV and decoder is at the end of your VLC player. So the codec enables saving and viewing of a particular video format. When it is done without change of formats or without change of codec, if you're using the same codec, ideally it's a lossless conversion. But if the codecs is changed, file formats is changed, then it could be a lossy compression too. So we have seen a lot of things that impact the quality of the video. In the interest of time, I'm trying to skip a few screens. So Bharat ko Azadi milne se pehle se, there was a first CCTV which was implemented in the year 1942. That old is the technology. It was connected to a TV screen via multiple VCR, DVRs, VCRs and cameras. And they were able to monitor a particular area. Different types of cameras. Daytime, and there are two kinds of cameras. We mistake IR sensitive CCTV to show night vision. So in infrared sensitive CCTV is jahan pe you see those white LED bulbs around your cameras. They throw infrared light, which is not seen by naked eyes, but when it falls on a surface, the camera can capture it in a grayscale. Whereas airport security will have night vision CCTV around their perimeters. So are you working on a night vision IR sensitivity camera or a night vision end-to-end camera is something to note about. And you also have thermal cameras and different cameras coming in. In terms of components, there are different kind of components inside a CCTV. As forensic investigators, our area of interest is in where is my data? My data is stored in the hard disk inside the DVR. This is one kind of evidence. The CCTV can also be connected to a PC. A CCTV can be connected to a PC to save information, and it can also save it remotely on a NAS storage or a cloud storage. It could have a local FTP server, and you see a lot of people having SD cards based CCTV as well, which has asynchronous load transfer from the CCTV, the SD card inside the CCTV to the cloud provider. So that asynchronous transfer is also possible these days. So when you are looking at an investigation, you will look at a probability of all these evidence storage devices, and you will have all these information. How many CCTV cameras are there? Think in numbers. Where is the DVRs? How it is connected? Who has installed it? What is the recording device? How many monitors and who all are viewing? How are the cables connected, or is it a wireless connection? Does it have an active electric connection, or does it have power over Ethernet? Is there any router connected, and is there any configurations on the router done to have a remote access or wiping technology or anything of that sort, and different kind of PCs and smartphones which are connected to it. Digital versus analog. Analog market में तो अभी ज़्यादा बचा नहीं है. Very old factories have this, but most of us have digital CCTV around us. In the interest of time, I would like to touch base on this. So whenever you look at a evidence, especially coming from a CCTV, you will look at a few things. What is the frame rate? So how much can you enhance or authenticate? Is the frame rate consistent frame rate or variable? Is there proper information of what is the resolution of the camera, distance of the object of interest from the camera, the focal length, aperture. Aperture is nothing but how much would a lens open for the image sensor to capture the light. More aperture open, more light is captured. So if you want to capture a low light image, you would have higher aperture. Sensitivity, that is sensitivity based on light, which impacts. You would see a lot of banks having ATM cameras, and वो ATM cameras के पीछे directly एक कांच का दरवाजा होता है जिसके पीछे सूरज जल रहा means रोशनी दे रही होती है. And when fraud happens, we see that a lot of faces are not seen and there's light in the background. It becomes very difficult. So that surely has an impact. And there's also an impact of the angle. If you put anything beyond 8 to 9 feet, looking at shorter distance and facial features is always going to be challenging. Depending upon the area, different angles have to be there. This also, you can very actively apply Pythagoras theorem here and try to identify the height of the camera based, height of the person based on the distance between the feet, 2 feet, the height of the camera and the angle at which it is captured. So those kind of calculation and height calculations can also be done. Now, challenges faced during a particular case. In image forensics, these are our current kind of challenges. One, you get images, but it is blurred. So you cannot see the number plate of the vehicle here. In the right, due to extreme weather conditions, you cannot see anything. But if you see the blur, authentication of image and videos. So I can select all and start applying this. So you can see different kind of filters is enhancing or suppressing a certain characteristics or pixel values in the frame seen in this particular video. All that we saw that could be applicable in image is applicable to a video as well. So I can apply it and look at it as well, and it is applied to each and every frame. Then let me, for that, this is a better example. So if you see in the gradient at this sensitivity, you're not able to make out anything. So you will change the parameters, tweak around with it. And you see a certain set of crop activity that has happened here, which is not consistent with the visual inspection performed on the original image. And all this has to be reported rightfully. And whenever you're reporting a forensic case, you will not base, ideally, you should not base your opinion only on one evidences. There has to be multiple evidences and analysis techniques that support your report and opinion. Similarly, when we look at a video and apply trend analyzers. So from frame number 0, which is seen here, to frame number 390, the algorithm has identified a few set of places which have inconsistency. So very small jump. Let me go frame by frame and show you all. So this was frame number 155. And this is frame number 156. And the objects have completely moved. Someone has cut a particular part from the video. And once you do that, what you would do is you would take a filter, apply a filter, example, an ELA in frame number 1. So you will add this particular thing into a report. You will say frame 155. Then you will go to the next. You'll add this to the report. So this is 155, this is 156, and you will add a few other places as well to see that by original inspection as well as by applying filters, we can clearly observe that the object is moved, and you will also annotate this particular region. I hope I have been able to do some justice with your time and provide you with an overview of multimedia forensics. I'm open for questions if you have any. I hope you have a lot. Priyanka ji?
Yes, sir. Participants, the session is open for questions and answers. You can add in your questions in the chat box.
I sometimes get worried with less number of questions. Either they have understood everything or they have understood nothing. So I hope it's not the latter.
No, sir, your lecture was quite interactive in a manner that it covered every aspect. So I hope that is why the participants do not have any questions. We can give them 2-3 minutes more.
Sure, sir. Sure, please. Sure, ma'am.
Sir, I guess there are no questions. Your session was quite self-explanatory in itself. On behalf of everyone, I would like to give a sincere thanks to taking some time out of your busy schedule and giving us such a wonderful presentation. And I am sure that it has added immense value to our to the fundamentals of the students and the participants who have joined here. And thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation.
My pleasure, ma'am. My pleasure.
Vinay, thank you so much for, really acceding to our request. You are a great, value provider in all national level platforms. I heard you in All India Forensic Science, where there were 1,000 delegates and you presented so well. And really, we appreciate your knowledge and your service to the nation in solving many mysteries of crime, working for the law enforcement. Thanks to you, thanks to Lab System, and thanks to Venkatesh sir. It's our pleasure to have you on board. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, sir. And everyone, have a great time ahead, and all the best to all the students, and may you all have a fantastic, happy, and a very prosperous career ahead. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Priyanka ji, for organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can now move on to our second session. Our second guest for the day will be joining in a few minutes. Good afternoon, ma'am. IT team, kindly, okay. You have already been made co-host, ma'am. Okay. So I think without further ado that I can start off with the second session. I'm honored to welcome the second guest for the day, Dr. Priyanka Kakkar, Associate Professor and Associate Dean at the School of Behavioral Forensics, National Forensic Science University. She's a leading expert in neuropsychology and forensic psychology. With extensive experience as a trained hypnotherapist, Dr. Kakkar's research focuses on cognitive electrophysiology, cognitive neuropsychology, and BEOS profiling. She has published over 89 research papers and presented in over 100 research works at national and international conferences, and has actively contributed to communities, committees, and associations, including the Co-Committee of Juvenile Justice Rules for the Gujarat government. Recognized with multiple awards.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think you have already given my introduction on the first day itself. So let's start with the lecture. I don't want to waste time. And I would like to finish that in 2 hours, whatever I have prepared and what is required for the lecture. So let's cut short that and directly go to the lecture piece.
Okay, ma'am. Welcome back, ma'am.
Okay. So with your permission, I'm starting the lecture.
Most welcome, ma'am. Good afternoon. Most welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. So the topic which has been given to me is forensic psychology and research opportunities. So I will be taking an introduction on what forensic psychology is all about, how it is different from forensic science, what are the roles and responsibilities forensic psychologists are providing, and the research opportunities with forensic psychology, the other area expertise individuals can collaborate with. So I will be talking first about forensic psychology, how it is different from forensic science. Up till now, since I was supposed to take this lecture as the first lecture, but then I was unable to do that. Forensic science you have heard about in last 1 week or maybe earlier also. The forensic science is actually the combination of science and legal procedures. And it is basically dependent upon collection of evidences, which we call physical evidences. Now, what happens under physical evidences is that people or the experts who visit crime scene, they collect physical evidences from the crime scene. These physical evidences can be hair strand, DNA sample in terms of blood sample, or some sort of serum. It could be sputum, it could be blood, it can be hair related DNA, it can be sperm related DNA. So these are the DNA physical evidences collected from the crime scene. Fingerprints and footprints are very common, which are collected from the crime scene. Then CCTV camera footage, that comes under cyber security and its analysis. So CCTV camera related evidences, or is there any IP related evidences, like which computer was used for sending of certain obscene pictures or documents, or sharing of confidential documents. So these things come under cyber security and related evidences. Forensic accounting in terms of forgery in signature, or a fake check, fake signed check, fake signed document, fake documents with original signature. So that comes under forensic accounting. Document examination, whether the document belongs to a particular person with his or her signature. Ballistics in terms of finding out bullet at the crime scene, the pistol, the bullet and the pistol combination, association of bullet with the a firearm collected from the crime scene. So these are the physical evidences, example of physical evidences, which comes under forensic science. Now with these physical evidences, people come to court, file a case, and the trial begins. Now in that, usually the trial begins for finding out that there is an association between usage of these physical evidences at the crime scene by a particular person. Now, for example, if DNA is taken, DNA belongs to a particular person. So suppose there is a rape case. So a person's accused DNA is found on the victim's body, and that's how the combination is done. But chances are there that both victim and the accused were having normal and with consent sexual relationship with each other. But there was someone else whose DNA was not found and the rape has been done by somebody else. In that case, how to prove that the rape has been done by the person who is termed as an accused or a suspect? The crime is committed by him, or was there any other person and the evidences was manipulated? Or in a case where his evidences were planned and plotted at the crime scene, because of which the so-called accused, so-called suspect got framed. Such things might happen with hair strand, fingerprints, footprints also. Or just think about a situation where number of people are visiting the crime scene before it has become crime scene, and there are number of footprints and fingerprints available at the place where the crime has happened, and because of which number of people are considered as suspect. Now, how to screen out that this particular person has committed crime and he is the one who has done it with proper planning and plotting? So just mere finding of any of these physical evidences cannot claim a person to be a suspect and later on as a guilty person, until unless there is a confession or any other evidence found which can be linked with the performance of criminal act. So when there are these type of problems, then forensic psychologists come into picture. Forensic psychology is considered as highly specialized branch, which we call super specialized professional branch of psychology, which concerns with the production and application of psychological knowledge and the principles within its legal processes. So when it comes to legal issues and application of psychology in any sort of legal processes is considered as forensic psychology. Now, under forensic psychology, all the branches of psychology comes into picture. Now, if a person is coming from clinical psychology, has done MA or MSc in clinical psychology, that person can join forensic psychology. If a person is coming from industrial psychology and want to understand what type of white collar crimes are happening in industries, then again, a degree in forensic psychology will help that person to understand white collar crimes, investigation methodology, and how to deal with such type of criminal acts within the organization. Sports psychology. So for example, doping or any other sort of crime, cricket match fixing or any sort of fixing in sports. If you want to analyze that, investigate that, again, forensic psychology with sports psychology specialization can help in investigation in crimes related to such areas. So you name any psychology subfield that is associated with forensic psychology, and there is a requirement of all such specialization in forensic psychology. That is why we consider it as highly specialized branch. So a person who is becoming forensic psychology, he must have basic knowledge about all the fields of psychology, whether it is counseling, clinical, neuropsychology, sports psychology, industrial psychology, community psychology, social psychology, you name a subfield of psychology that is utilized in forensic psychology. Now, forensic psychology is not limited up to forensic psychological investigation techniques. It is one of the prominent and major area where forensic psychologists are working. But apart from that, there are other fields also, or we can say there are other aspects also where forensic psychologists are working. The first and foremost is finding out the causal factors of crime. Why a person is committing crime, why he has committed crime, why everyone is not into criminal act, why a person decided to commit murder, why a person is getting into recidivist type of activity, repeat offense, why a child has become a juvenile, why this particular person is into sexual harassment. So in order to find out the reason, the factors, we forensic psychologists do research work and try to analyze that if this type of crime has happened, these are the factors associated with that. Now, these factors could be, which I will focus later also, it could be social factor, it can be neuropsychological factor, it can be psychological issues, it can be environmental factors, it can be DNA, the genetic structure of an individual because of which the person is getting into criminal act. Second aspect is the counseling part. We all are getting requests, forensic psychologists are getting requests that when a person is visiting police station, at that time, the police has not even started the interrogation process, but the person is feeling anxious and the anxiety is so much that the custodial deaths are increasing. So just a few days before, IGP of Punjab Police visited our center and he was portraying the same question that how to deal with this. So the answer is that counseling is required at every stage. The moment a person get entered in police station, from that point till he get out of police station or the court, the person who visits crime scene, the expert, the forensic expert need to understand the requirement of counseling for victims if the victim is alive, relatives of victim, if victim is dead and the relatives are there, or if the victim is alive but the victim is not in proper state of mind to discuss what has happened at the crime scene. In that case, how to do counseling with relatives of victims to get more information. How to do counseling of police officers, because police officers are also undergoing a lot of work stress as well as the stress related to the case that they are handling. So there is a lot of trauma when you handle a case, and that trauma can follow you for number of days, for few months, and for few years also. So if a person is carrying that trauma, that can affect the stress level and the overall quality of life as well as the work-life balance. Then what are the neuroforensic psychological assessments that can be used for understanding criminal behavior as well as the mental health of an individual undergoing scrutiny? You all are aware that clinical assessments are available. For example, Rorschach, PAT, intelligence test, interest test. But when we talk about forensic assessment, that should have neuroforensic psychological assessment. And this is the area which is actually nowadays require more focus of forensic experts, because through the researches, we have found that more than social and cultural factors, neuro and clinical factors are the prominent factors because of which the person is getting into criminal activity. So we need to understand the impulsivity parameter, the problem solving skill of an individual, and based on this, we can decide the mental health of an individual to undergo trials, to undergo any investigation, whether it is forensic investigation or other sort of investigation. So that neuropsychological assessment is required, and for which students who are coming from clinical background or who are interested in forensic psychology, they can also think about development of psychological tests. So test construction is also one of the research areas which you can think about. Criminal or offender profiling. Criminal profiling is very common in abroad, but very new and rare in India. Police officers claim that they do criminal profiling, offender profiling for each and every case, but that is not true. They consider themselves as forensic psychology expert or forensic science expert, but actually they lack training, they lack awareness what criminal profiling is all about. So here also forensic psychologists with the help of forensic science expert can focus more upon criminal profiling when physical evidences are there, but the name and the identity of suspect is missing. So it's a dead end where you have the physical evidences, but these physical evidences are not matching with any person who is available near the vicinity on whom you can suspect or be suspicious that this is the person who might have committed crime. So in such cases where the suspect is not identified, in that case criminal profiling is used, mostly used in serial killing, where the cases are of different types at different location, but it is assumed that one person has committed crime at different locations considering the same characteristics of the victim. Police psychology is one of the major aspects required for research work and for more focus, because recruitment is one of the aspects where police is facing a lot of difficulty. They don't know whom they are recruiting. They don't know whether they have malicious intent, whether they have skill and capability. They are just recruiting people. Most of the time, the recruitment is done based upon the familiarity of the candidate. So somebody is his relative or family figure, and that's how they get into police placement. So most of the time these things are happening, and the recruitment process is very old. There is a physical session, there is a entrance examination, but finally whether the person has skill to become a police officer and to do proper investigation or not, that cognitive skill is not being measured while recruiting police officers. Same thing is happening when they are getting promotion. The promotion is given based upon how many years they have served, but what type of cases they have managed, whether their mental capability is prominent to get promotion, all those things are not checked. And that is why mostly the higher most police officers lack skill. They just have the designation and have power to show their power to their juniors, and that's how the case get disoriented or mismanaged. They don't know how to manage their stress. Nowadays, the number of police officers, the posting is less, the number of posts are less, and the workload is more. So the stress is getting more and more in police officers, because of which their quality of work gets affected. And most of the police officers doesn't know how to deal with victims. Most of the time they are threatening the victims not to file a case. The moment a case gets filed, then they have to work on that. So they try to threaten the victim so that the victim doesn't file an FIR. And if the victim is mentally weak, I mean, if the person is mentally unhealthy and because of which there is a case, in that case also they don't know how to deal with the victim and the case get mismanaged. So police psychology is one of the prominent area where forensic psychologists have started working and require more attention. We have rehabilitation related issues in India. Though many prison officers or many officials who are dealing with the rehabilitation of prisoners, they claim that they have a proper correctional setup for juveniles or rehabilitation activities for prisoners, but actually rehabilitation is just the word used by many of them. Actual rehabilitation is not happening. What they are doing is they are giving vocational therapy and not the rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is very different from what they are providing. They are giving skill-based vocational training to prisoners. But after that, whether prisoners are getting rehabilitated in the society, whether they are getting livelihood to have a better quality of life, those things are not being taken care of till now in India. And the last thing that is very prominent in forensic psychology, which actually attracts many students towards the field of forensic psychology, is psychological investigation technique, which I will talk in detail with few cases. If you have any questions up till now, you can ask me, otherwise I will move ahead. Any questions?
Disha has written in the chat box that the presentation slides are not changing.
Okay,
Other than that, there are no other questions.
all right, but I can't see her question also. She has written it to you, it seems.
Ma'am, according to the visibility, we are able to see the first slide. Okay, now we are in the fifth slide.
Okay. Can you tell me whether the slides are changing?
Okay,
Is it
now
changing?
we are in slide 5.
But can you see types of crime slide?
No,
No.
ma'am.
All
No.
right, just a second. Now, can you see types of crime slide?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
And is it changing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so moving towards what type of crimes we can deal with as a forensic psychologist. You name the type of crime, we can deal with those crime for forensic investigation, and the aspects that we have, I have just discussed, whether it is finding out the factor, whether it is related to the assessment, the investigation techniques. These are the types of crime usually we are dealing with. For example, murder, attempt to murder, and even the murder conspiracy. So if a person is planning murder conspiracy, we have investigation techniques to find out how he has conspired about the murder, or even for terrorist activity. So what is the conspiracy level and how much the conspiracy is managed by a particular person. Since I have started the types of crime, I'll take a question later on. Komal, I have seen your question. I'll take it later. I will answer your question. So types of crime, murder, even for kidnapping, whether this particular person who is coming as suspect has kidnapped the person or not, and eyewitnesses, we can see eyewitnesses testimony also, whether the statement given by the eyewitness is true or not. Bullying, school, college, university, or at workplace, any sort of bullying which has no physical evidences can be investigated using forensic psychological investigation techniques. Mob lynching, sexual abuse, sexual assault, eve teasing, and the severity of abuse is rape. So rape is more of a medical and physical evidence produce in front of court. But what about eve teasing? There is no physical evidence. It's just the harassment occurred with a girl or with a boy at a particular moment of day. So where the physical evidences are not present, or physical evidences are present, but apart from that, there is psychological and emotional abuse, which cannot be present as an evidence in those cases also, which is part of law. The law says that if a person is undergoing physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and financial abuse, that can be considered as domestic violence or sexual abuse. But it is very easy to prove physical abuse because there are wounds, there are injuries on the body. So there is a medical report suggesting that the person has underwent sexual abuse, sexual assault, or domestic violence, physical domestic violence. But what about verbal, emotional, and financial abuses? So in those conditions where physical evidences are not present or present, but in order to strengthen that evidence, forensic psychological investigation techniques can be used. Apart from investigation, the counseling and the rehabilitation of victims, especially rape victims, can be done through forensic psychology experts. Sexual harassment, workplace harassment are the most difficult type of crime to be justified as harassment, because most of these harassments occur under a closed room where only two people are there. One is the victim and one is the abuser. So there is always lack of evidence in case of sexual harassment at workplace or workplace harassment. So in such cases also, forensic psychologists can help in understanding whether the person who is considering oneself as a victim has actually underwent any sort of violence. For example, Me Too movement. It happened after so many years that people came forward, ladies came forward, and they reported that, yes, I underwent sexual abuse, sexual assault, and even rape by a certain individual. But what is the proof? It's just the verbal statement. Now, if the lady has actually underwent any sort of these abuses or even rape, forensic psychological investigation techniques can provide an evidence that the statement given by the lady is truthful. Or if the lady is just trying to put an allegation on a male saying that he has done something wrong with me, in that case also we can find out the truth and can prove that the male is innocent and the allegations put by the lady is incorrect. I'll quote a research work where I found a male who claimed that he has underwent domestic violence. I was doing a research work, ICSR funded research work on victims of domestic violence. There I was trying to find out female victims who underwent domestic violence, keeping maybe a biased mindset that only females can undergo domestic violence, not males. But when I was just started my research work and started a data collection, I was looking for subjects. There I got first a message and later on an email that why you are focusing only on female victims, why not on male victims? We are also going domestic violence crime. So I thought that let's do it on male victims also. Let's find out whether he has actually underwent domestic violence or not. Though he has not reported the case, no case was filed of domestic violence. He was from a well-to-do family, a high-profile person with high-profile spouse. He reported that his wife is doing domestic violence on him. Apart from physical, he is undergoing emotional abuse. So we did the forensic investigation on him, but we could not find any physical, verbal, or emotional violence related activity that has occurred with him. So that was one case. Another case, again male, he had the same problem And in that case, we found that he has actually underwent domestic violence by his wife, and he was suffering a lot, and because of which, though he wanted to file a case, but since he had a very well-to-do family, he was not ready to file the case. But this is how we can find out that the person has actually underwent domestic violence through forensic psychological investigation techniques. Cases like child abuse, where a child is unable to talk about the abuse that he has underwent, the child lacks awareness about child abuse, that this type of behavior is considered as abuse. In such cases, we can do forensic psychological investigation techniques like usage of micro expressions and visual stress analyzers to understand the type of stress the child is undergoing, and the verbal statement. Through the verbal statements, we can explore more that this is the stressful statement given by the child, and that need to be explored more through our interview techniques, forensic interview. Cyber crimes like hacking, fraud, cyber stalking, cyber bullying can also be dealt by a forensic psychologist. Now, suppose my computer got hacked and there are certain documents shared through my computer. So when the investigation will start, the IP address and all the details of cyber related technical specification will be presented of my computer. However, I have no idea that my computer got hacked and some documents were shared using my computer. So in that case, I am innocent, but through through the evidences that the investigator has got, I am the culprit. Now, in that case, forensic psychological investigation techniques can help in finding out that the person who is coming as suspect of cybercrime has actually committed crime or not. So in that case, polygraph and BIOS, which I will talk in detail in later part of my presentation, that these two techniques can be helpful in finding out whether the person is trying to show deception through polygraph and what is the level of involvement in the criminal act that can be analyzed through BIOS technology. For cyber stalking and cyber bullying, rehabilitation and counseling is required. And also, suppose my profile is being hacked and through my profile, someone is stalking someone else. So again, I am the victim, I am the suspect. And in order to prove that, again, forensic psychological investigation techniques can be used, whether the cyber stalking is actually done by me or by someone else who has created profile name, identified with my profile name, and is being using the computer for doing such activities. Terrorism, now it has come to cyber terrorism also, or we can say online terrorism. Just planting bomb and doing bomb blast is not limited to terrorism. It has now gone beyond the physical world to the digital world. They are sharing encrypted messages through WhatsApp, through social networking sites about which we are not aware. Sometimes the forwarded messages that we are getting on WhatsApp, we are sharing it with our friends without understanding that this message can be encrypted one, and there is some other message encrypted in that, such a simple message which is about some information related to a religion, some information related to a new app or any other information, but it is encrypted with another sort of information which is related to terrorist activity. So such terrorism related investigation can also be done by forensic psychology investigation techniques. Other types of crime like stealing, robbery, theft, elderly abuse, which is becoming more prominent, white collar crimes like corruption, forgery, identity theft, mortgage broker fraud, bribery, and tax evasion, etc. So you talk about any sort of crime, forensic psychologists can play an important role in dealing with any of these issues related to various aspects that I have already discussed. Now coming to the factors that why a person is getting into crime, and is aggression associated with criminal act or not. So aggression is only one of the characteristics associated with criminal act. But don't forget that aggression is an innate characteristics belonging to each and every individual on earth. So I cannot say that because I have not committed crime, so I am not an aggressive person. I can be aggressive, but I know how to control my aggression, and that is why I'm not getting into criminal act. Similarly, you all have this characteristics innate in your nature. Since birth, you have this aggression as one of the important trait. But because you know how to control your aggression, where to show your aggression, where not to show your aggression, that is why you are not getting into criminal act. You might be getting consequences, facing consequences of angerness, aggression in your life from other perspective. But because of aggression, you are not getting into criminal act. So why these criminals are showing aggression as well as committing crime? That is because either they suffer from conduct disorder. Conduct disorder starts from childhood. So the childhood disorder is known as conduct disorder, where the person shows antisocial personality disorder related characteristics, and the child indulges into aggressive behavior, impulsivity behavior, and destruction of property. So a child who is demonstrating more aggression, beating, and getting into more sorts of argumentative situation, that means the person need to undergo psychological testing to understand whether the child is suffering with conduct disorder or not. If a child is suffering with conduct disorder, there are two ways. Either you treat him so that after 18 years of age, he get treated with conduct disorder and he is not getting converted into antisocial personality disorder. So there are chances that a child who is suffering with conduct disorder can get well treated and rehabilitated back to the society and is not getting into criminal act. Another chance is that if the person gets misidentified or not identified as conduct disorder, then these characteristics can get converted into antisocial personality disorder, and after 18 years of age, the person can become ASPD, or we can say antisocial personality disordered individual. And then once the person starts suffering with antisocial personality disorder, the chances of committing crime becomes higher, more than 90%. Other reason to get into criminal act is the neurotransmitters. Now, these neurotransmitters help us in controlling our impulses. This dopamine, serotonin, these neurotransmitters either increases our excitement or decreases our mood, or we say the happiness quotient. So because of this, a person who is very depressed or very excited can get into lack of impulsivity related behavior and can get into criminal acts. Then a person who is suffering with brain dysfunction. This brain dysfunction can be because of any severe type of terminal illness or injury, or it could be related to genetics. So a person who is having brain dysfunction, especially in the frontal lobe, then the chances of getting into criminal act becomes higher. The frontal lobe is known as the organ of civilization, which is given by Luria. Now, this organ of civilization, that is frontal lobe, consists of all the executive functions related sensations. So executive functions meaning problem solving skill, decision making skill, attention, concentration, memory, to control one's own impulsivity. All these executive functions are governed by frontal lobe. Now, if there is any injury in the frontal lobe, that means all these executive functions get haywired and you are unable to control your behavior, and because of which the chances of doing criminal acts become higher. there are various theories given by people who suggest that these theories affect a person and the person becomes an offender. One of the famous theory is rational choice theory, which was given by William Glaser, and it suggests that any criminal act is a rational choice given to a situation for many offenders. So when a person is getting into criminal act, that is his rational choice. Now that is his choice because of which he got into criminal behavior. It was his decision because of which he got into criminal act. If he wanted, he could have decided not to do a certain act and not to get into further consequences of criminal activity. So as per William Glaser, every act has a rational choice. For example, here also, to attend this lecture or not, that is your choice. Now, what is your choice? Why it is your choice? Because you want to earn a certificate, you want to earn knowledge, you want to have an understanding about this particular field, or you don't have any other thing to do. You just want to do something, and that's how you have joined this course. So there could be any reason, but it is your choice to attend the lecture. Now, mentally you are attending the lecture or not, that is something else. But you decided to remain online and to listen, but not to listen, that is up to you. But then you are here online showing 113 people attending this lecture, including me. So 112 people attending this lecture with physical mind, with mental focus or not, but then you all are attending it. So that is your choice. If you want, you can leave the lecture also, but then you will not get attendance. So that is again your choice, because of which you are attending the lecture. Another reason of committing criminal act is the involuntary control over responses. These responses occur usually in rape offenders. Now, what happens inside the brain when there is an involuntary control over response? You can see there are two graphs. Can you see the graphs? Can anyone say yes or no to me that graphs are visible or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Is my slide visible? Involuntary control over responses?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you can see two graphs. One is graph A, another one is graph B. Graph A is of normal individual. Graph B is of alcohol dependent patients. So there was a research work done in 1986, and the graph is related to that particular research work. Now, in this research work, what was the task given to normal and alcohol dependent patients was that there is a switch. Suppose there is a mouse and the subject is sitting with the mouse, and certain stimuluses are being presented to him. And whenever he feel like changing the stimulus, he can press the mouse. So pressing of mouse was the act or task given to the subjects. Now, the normal individuals, when they decided to press the button, their brain activity got initiated -3 seconds before they press the mouse. So 0 is the point where they press the mouse or press the button. So -3 seconds before the activity initiated, or it was much before that. As you can see that the graph is still increasing. So it was -4 or -5 seconds. And in alcohol dependent patients, it started with -4, and then at 0, they press the mouse, press the button. So this -4 to 0 seconds shows that the brain start responding much before when you realize that you have pressed the button. So when you do the act, the moment you commit the act, you show the action, at that time you realize is that you have committed the act. but the brain has taken initiative -3, -4, -5 seconds before you realize that you have done the act. Same thing happens in certain criminals, that they realize after committing of act that now the act is negative, or it will have negative consequences. So this is one of the another prominent reason that why a person is getting into criminal act. Now, a person who is alcohol dependent or consuming alcohol from past many years, this activity of brain does get slowed down, but again, the person is unable to control his impulses, and by the time he realizes that he has committed the act is already committed, and now there is no moving back from commitment of act to normalizing it to not commitment of any negative action. When we talk about origins of behavior, it gets originated into 3 different aspects. It could be any one of these reasons. One is intentionally initiated and executed actions. Now, what are intentionally initiated and executed actions? For example, terrorism. Now, terrorism is something that is being planned, intentional, and once an intention is there, then the execution of action occurs. Another reason of origin of behavior is the conditioned responses. For example, stealing or white collar crimes. So these are mostly associated with social learning theory, because we see people committing such type of activity and we get trained. We learn from our peer group, we learn from our parents, we get conditioned, and as a conditioned response, the criminal act is shown. And the third one is behavior without perception and awareness of threat, which we call pre-attentive emotions. For example, hatred. Suddenly, a person who is stranger to you, a person who is new to you, a person who has just joined your college or your class, you don't feel like interacting with that person. So you will say that I don't know why I don't like this person, though I have never interacted with the person. Or just reverse, you just like the person and you want to interact with the person, you don't know why. So there are 2 extremes, and for these 2 extremes you have no answer. That emotion is known as pre-attentive emotions. Now, what is the logic behind it? There's always a characteristics attached to a stranger or a to new situation, which is related to your past. For example, the characteristic why you don't want to interact with an individual, because his face look like a person whom you don't like in your past, or his characteristics are such which matches with the person whom you knew in the past. So that past message hinders your interaction with the new individual. Similarly, when you like a person, again, there are characteristics which are associated with the person whom you know in the past, and you also like that person in the past, which get associated with the new person with his characteristics. So because of these reasons, you are not attentive, you are not aware, but your emotions are portrayed. So up till now, any questions? Though there were 2 questions. One is polygraph one I'll take later when I'll talk about polygraph. Ma'am, determining psychological traits according to their handwriting, gender will consider in. Komal, can you elaborate your question more? What do you want to ask? Determining psychological traits according to their handwriting, gender will consider in. Meaning? Komal Gupta. I didn't answer that, but okay. I think you want to ask whether we can consider psychological traits of handwriting and gender under forensic psychology. That's what you want to ask. Will that be considered under forensic psychology? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Ma'am, I think that is what she is asking, that whether during determination of psychological traits in handwriting, will gender be considered or not?
For handwriting, gender will be considered or no? No. There is no such discrimination yet where handwriting can be considered as psychological traits as per the gender. So there are no such gender differences. Yes, because of personality, because of situation, the handwriting might differ. But this is male's handwriting and this is female's handwriting. That discrimination is yet to be researched more. We are not sure about it. And second question is by Tanveer. Ma'am, is polygraph test a foolproof technique? I'll talk about it, whether it is foolproof or not. And if it is not foolproof, then how to make it foolproof. I'll discuss that when I'll talk about polygraph. So just wait for that. All right, so this I have already discussed, that forensic science investigation is based upon collection of physical evidences like hair strand, blood, semen, bullet, murder weapon, suicide note, other documents or evidences, which has fingerprints, footprints, etc. from the crime scene. But how to prove that the physical evidences present and collected from the crime scene belongs to the suspect who was present at the time of crime and not before or after the crime? So how to prove that the suspect who has brought for scrutiny or for screening was present at the time of crime and not before the crime has happened and not after the time when the crime has happened? For example, in Arushi's case, so many people visited the crime scene that it was very difficult to find out that the footprints and fingerprints of the people were present before the crime, during the crime, or after the crime. So such discrimination can lead to confusion in the case, and in order to resolve this confusion, forensic psychologists can help in investigation. Another example, a suspect's fingerprint and footprint were found at the crime scene, and there is also CCTV footage of him entering the crime scene. So just imagine that a person's fingerprint and footprint were found at the crime scene, and only the CCTV footage is there of the individual entering the crime. But after entering the crime scene, has he committed the crime or not? That is not sure. So these evidences cannot prove that he has committed the crime until and unless the entire criminal act is either recorded or stated by the victim, if alive, there is an eyewitness, or there is a suspect's confession. And most of the time, these things are missing. Confession, rarely a person will confess that he has committed crime. Eyewitnesses, many times in trial, they become hostile and they come out of the case. First, they say, first they give statement against the suspect, and later on when the trials begin, they either become hostile or they start forgetting and they play with their own statements, which become futile for case investigation. And the victim, if alive, then what is the status of the victim's mental health? All those things matter, and just based upon victim statement, a case cannot be given justice just because he is saying that he is the suspect. So further investigation is required, further evidences are required, or suspect's confession is required. And these things arises questions like how to find out whether the victim's or eyewitnesses statement is correct. So just because a victim is giving statement, that doesn't mean victim statement is accurate. It can be false, malified statement also. So is it correct or not? Is it a false allegation or not? For example, in case of corruption, dowry cases, sexual harassment and abuse. So the question mark is not only on the suspect, but also on the victim, whether the victim is telling the truth and whether the victim is able to provide enough proof that this particular person has committed criminal act. And there is another version, or the suspect's statement is correct. Suppose the suspect has given his confession. So his confession is correct or not, or whether he has denied his criminal act. So whether the denial is correct or not. So in order to answer all these questions, forensic psychologists use detection of deception techniques. Before we talk about the deception techniques like polygraph, BIOS, layered voice analysis, SDS, let us understand the procedure, how the forensic psychological investigation techniques are being used. First is court's permission is required. Now, if a case is filed, FIR is lodged, and the court trials has begun, in that case, both the parties, defense and the opposition party, can ask for any of these psychological investigation techniques. So suppose a suspect is under scrutiny and the opposition party says that he has committed crime. So that person, that the lawyer of that party, can also ask for forensic psychological investigation, or the person who is so-called suspect, he himself can ask for forensic psychological investigation to prove his innocence. But in both the cases, it has to come through court. So court permits for a certain type of forensic investigation depending upon the case undergoing. So it can start with polygraph, combination of polygraph with BIOS, polygraph with narco, polygraph narco and BIOS, polygraph LVA narco BIOS. So any combination can be suggested by court. Once that is being suggested, the subject has already given his consent in front of court, and afterwards the court send notice to forensic psychology lab, to forensic scientists to consider the case for forensic investigation. So once the court orders, the forensic interview at forensic lab is conducted. After forensic interview, forensic psychological assessment is also done at forensic lab. Now in forensic psychological assessment, risk assessment, criminal behavior related information is being assessed. Afterwards, if a person is found suitable to undergo investigation, then the person is taken for forensic investigation. If the person's mental status is not sound or he is not eligible for forensic investigation, then after doing forensic assessment, the report is sent back to the court that his mental status is not sound, so we cannot conduct forensic investigation. But mostly this doesn't happen until unless there is a case of malingering, or the person is actually suffering with psychological anxiety or some sort of severe mental health issue. Once we confirm that the person is mentally normal, sound, and he is capable to undergo forensic investigation techniques, then we introduce about the tool that we are going to use to the subject. Who is our subject? The suspect who has been brought for polygraph, LVA, or whichever forensic investigation technique. So we give them brief about the technology so that they get to know that these technologies are non-invasive in nature. There is no harm in using these technologies, and this will give them proper evidence if they support the forensic expert in conducting the investigation. So once this introduction is given, again the consent of the subject is taken. So please note that the consent of the subject is taken twice. Once in front of the court, and because of which the court has sent the subject to us. And second, once we explain the entire process which the subject will undergo and the consent is taken. Suppose the subject denies consent, then we cannot conduct investigation technique on the subject. So once the consent is taken, then the recording is done for the investigation technique ordered by the court. Now, these are the techniques used for extraction of information. At National Forensic Sciences University, we have a special interview room. That forensic interview room is divided into two sections. In one section, you can see that two chairs are kept. This chair is for the suspect and this is for the investigative officer or the scientific officer who is managing the case. Two mics are there. So whatever they are question answering, that gets recorded and is visible in the observation room. So here you can see that the investigative officer or the scientific officer is asking questions. There is one writer sitting next to the scientific officer, and whatever statement is given by the suspect is being recorded. So the recording is done in two ways. One is the handwritten one and the other one is the audio video recording, which can be observed from the observation room. This is specifically a recording of anti-corruption case reported to ACB. So as part of that case study, not case study, but case investigation, we have a mandate to record audio video statement of the suspect and submit it to honorable court. So this is something which is very unique at NFSU, which we are doing since year 2017. So this is just one example, but for any other investigation, we can do this, and we are using this for further probe preparation and other types of activities also. So once the forensic interview is done, we start with the polygraph. Now, polygraph is a device which is used for recording of both blood pressure and galvanic skin response, which was invented in 1920 by Dr. John Larson. So the polygraph is known for collection of information in order to find out deception. The polygraph examination is divided into two phases. First is pre-test interview, then the actual interrogation and recording through the instrument, that is polygraph, and after conduction of polygraph, post-test interview. These are the accessories attached on an individual. The chair, you can see that the chair is very different from the normal chair, routine chair. There is a movement and motion sensors, which is a small thin pad kept on the chair. And on this small pad, the person sits. So you cannot see the movement pad here, but the person is sitting on that movement and motion sensors. Now, it is believed that whenever a person is telling lie or he is about to tell lie, there's always a motion. There's always a movement. So that movement gets detected by the movement sensors. Second accessory that is attached is the BP cuff. So it measures the blood pressure of an individual. When the individual is about to tell a lie or is anxious, the BP increases. Then these two accessories are attached as respiration. Now the person's body respirates in two ways, through upper chest or through lower abdomen. So a person's respiration might vary because sometimes he is taking upper chest respiration, respirating through upper chest or using his lower abdomen for breathing in and out. So in order to get both the scores, both the measures, we attach two accessories, one to the upper chest here and one to the lower abdomen. So you can see here the two accessories are attached. And for the analysis, both the accessories scores are used for analysis. Then there is GSR attached on the person's alternate finger. We are using fingers, not the palm, because fingers are easy to move and to keep it proper. Palms are like if you attach it here, so it is difficult because it is putting pressure on these two electrodes. So we are not using this type of positions for putting the electrodes. We put electrodes on the alternate fingers. And this we are not using. Sometimes when the GSR is not properly giving responses or the BP instrument is creating issue with the subject. So in that case, we use the pulse blood volume for monitoring the BP changes. So sometimes if BP cuff is not working or that is creating discomfort in the subject, we use pulsator. So this is how the subject will look like when he is attached with the accessories, and all the accessories are attached with the amp. This amp is connected with the laptop, and on the laptop you can see various graphs. So poly meaning multiple, and graphs meaning the graphs showed because of the physiological changes of an individual when relevant and irrelevant questions are asked to him. What is the process of polygraph? The subject is asked questions about his participation in the criminal act. The subject is supposed to answer either in terms of yes or no. So he has to listen to the question and he has to respond in terms of yes or no. So yes, no, both responses cannot be given for a particular question, or nodding of head is not required, just verbal response, yes or no. So the assumption is that if there is a need to tell a lie, it causes emotional changes. And because of these emotional changes, there are physiological arousals, which is picked up by the system. And the baseline changes with the relevant questions gives us a score whether the person is trying to deceive an information or not. We are trying to understand the heart rate, pulse volume change, respiration change, and galvanic skin response through polygraph. If the suspect is emotionally disturbed by the need to tell a lie, the physiological responses could indicate that the subject is showing deception. There is a rule in interpretation. However, it is now old rule, or we can say it is related to the old version of the polygraph, that there must be specific response that deviates from the subject's normal tracing, and it must appear in at least 2 or more charts. So in old polygraph, which is being practiced in most of the forensic labs also, they see the chart. In old polygraph, 3 charts are compared by keeping the printout of the chart in front of the professional. So the professional compares the chart by looking at the question and the answers given by the person in terms of physiological responses. But now with the new polygraph system, there is an automatically generated report which says that there is a deception or not. However, with these automatically generated report also, one can do a manual interpretation also, just to get cross-check, that the response given by the automatic generated report matches with the old way of comparison of charts. So this is the new version of polygraph which NFSU is using, and new forensic labs are developing with psychology division, so they might also be procuring this type of system where automatic generated report is available. Since polygraph is the oldest instrument, so most of the government agencies such as Department of Defense, Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection, and even the Department of Energy is using polygraph system. They have their own standard polygraph procedure, but the scoring system is added to advanced polygraph instrument, which has increased the specificity of the instrument, and that's why it becomes more foolproof as compared to earlier polygraphs. So I hope I have answered Tanveer Ullah's question, that is polygraph a foolproof technology or not. So it has increased the specificity of the instrument, because of which it has become more foolproof. If a subject wants to manipulate polygraph related physiological parameters, in that case, if the polygraph examiner is really an expert in polygraph, he will get to know that the subject is trying to manipulate his responses, and he cannot manipulate responses on polygraph. So in that case, the person who is using polygraph need to have a proper polygraph training before the person starts his or her investigation process with the hardcore criminals. So that is the requirement which can remove the possibility of fooling the polygraph system. Talking about a case, there were 4 suspects who underwent polygraph testing. It was found that out of 4 suspects, 2 suspects, which we can call A and B, were trying to hide the truth. A had a fight with the victim regarding property matters, and B helped him in the crime. So just imagine that one had a fight, and another person was just helping the first person. So helping is also related to the criminal act and hiding of information. A denied the conflict, but under polygraph testing, it was found that he was hiding the information. The other 2 suspects found to be telling the truth and showed no deception in the polygraph testing. So out of 4 suspects C and D got screened out through polygraph that they were telling truth, but subject A and B got into problem because they were showing deception. One was subject A was showing conflict related information, and B was like he has helped the person in committing the crime. Next system is suspect detection system, SDS. It is used especially for screening out of suspects. So suppose there is a large number of people who are suspected. For example, imagine a situation on an airport where the custom officer has received an information that that a group of individual or 2 or 3 people are carrying illegal drugs or something that is illegal in nature. So how to screen out who are the actual suspects? SDS can be used. It is only 10 to 15 minutes testing in which, as you can see, that the subject is sitting with the microphone. There is a computer, a camera, which is recording his facial expressions, and it gives proper information that this was the person who underwent investigation. So there is no manipulation or changing of subjects. And he has kept his hand on a cradle which measures his skin responses in terms of the amount of sweat produced by the individual. The questions are presented one by one on the computer screen, and whatever the questions are presented on the screen is being heard by the person through microphone, headphone. So if the person is illiterate, he doesn't have to read. The same question is presented in the preferred language. So suppose a person is understand only Marathi. So these questions can be presented in Marathi, and the person will listen Marathi based questions. And if the person is literate, he can read the same question simultaneously also. So this is how the system look like. And it measures the guilty knowledge test, which is based upon autonomic nervous system technology. The questions include relevant and irrelevant questions. The screening is done in 2 phases. The initial stage consists of 4 sets. So suppose there is a deception shown in first 4 sets, then 2 more sets are run. And if there is no deception related response shown by the individual in first 4 sets, then the system will stop automatically after 4th set of administration. The process is very simple. The examinee is requested to sit comfortably, place palm in the sensor's cradle, which you have seen in the earlier photograph, to put headphone on the ears, answer set of questions again in terms of yes or no. Questions are presented both in text and audio by the system. Sensors measures the psychophysiological responses in terms of the skin, the sweat responses produced by an individual. A case which was investigated using SDS in 2008, it was a serial bomb blast case. Total 36 people were killed and 76 were injured. For this particular case, 6 suspects were underwent SDS investigation, and only 1 suspect showed deception, who was then taken for further forensic investigation. So SDS is not the first and last technology using which we can say that there is a deception. It is only used for screening out of suspect. Afterwards, polygraph and other investigations are required. Next technology is layered voice analysis. We call LVA it in short. It enables a better understanding of a subject's mental state and emotional makeup. at a given moment by detecting the emotional content of his or her speech when responding to questions. Slowly and gradually, as the PPT will move ahead, you will understand that forensic psychologists are dealing with the suspect only, and all the physiological as well as mental parameters of the subject. So up till now, we have seen that the polygraph is measuring the physiological parameters of the suspect. SDS is measuring the skin response of the suspect. Layered voice analysis is dealing with the voice quality and the voice vibration and voice parameters of the subject. And slowly and gradually, you will understand that there are other parameters of the subject that is being scrutinized by the forensic psychology expert. So here the technology identifies stress level and emotional reactions that are reflected in the properties of his or her voice. Now, these are the parameters on which the voice quality varies. So it is global reaction, global stress, cognitive stress, emotional stress, thinking level, and SOS value. So when the person is talking and answering to the questions, especially the relevant questions, the questions are tested on these parameters through two different techniques. One is online, another one is offline. Online is when there is a online or live interrogation going on. So if as a forensic expert, I am asking question and the subject is responding to my question. So the moment the person responds to my question, the responses are being analyzed and can be seen on the system. For example, subject is not sure what he is responding, or subject is showing high risk, or subject is under stress. So the type of answer the person is giving, the voice quality shows that the inaccuracy related to the answer given by the subject, the stress level shown while answering to a particular question, and the high risk statement, meaning the answer given by the subject is deceptive. So these answers we can get online. So on the spot, we'll get to know that the person is trying to tell a lie. Another version is the offline version, where we can use the audio recording of the subject, and suppose there is an interview between police officer and the suspect, and the person brings that audio recording to us. Then in that case, we can do the analysis using LVA at offline mode. A case related to LVA. In a triple murder case, initially 3 people were missing and later their dead bodies were found in their farmhouse well. 3 suspects underwent LVA testing, online and offline both. One of the suspects showed deception and indicated that he possessed the knowledge about the murder weapon, and his judgment under alcohol intoxication that he has committed brutal crime. So he, in a way, he confessed that he has done, and he has he possesses the information about the murder. The other 2 suspects did not show any deception regarding the information they shared with the investigation officer. So out of 3, only 1 confirmed that he has information about the entire act, and he himself has committed the act because he was under alcohol intoxication. Now, the next technology is the most controversial technology because that is the only invasive technique. Acha, Diksha has asked a question that in LVA testing, which one would be more preferred one, online or offline? As I started practicing these technologies, I would say that online is more preferred from forensic psychologist perspective, but always doing online analysis is not possible. So even offline methods can be used, where the IO can come up with the recorded version of the interview, and then that can get analyzed. So as a forensic psychologist, I would say that online is preferred, but looking at the situation and the type of case, offline is also acceptable, and both will give us equal information. It is not like online information is more accurate and offline one is less accurate. Both have equal values. It just depends upon the preferredness and the availability of the subject for interview. So narcoanalysis is the only what we say invasive technique. Other technologies are non-invasive in nature. What is the difference between invasive and non-invasive? Invasive meaning you are injecting something in the person's body. Non-invasive is where you are attaching accessories, but there is nothing like a foreign body getting inside the person's body. So in narcoanalysis, the amytal interview is performed by placing the subject in a reclining position and administering amobarbital intravenously. So amobarbital or sodium pentothal is injected in the person's body through injection in the vein of the individual intravenously, and it is infused till the person becomes drowsy. So when the drowsiness is noted, then the injection or the insertion of drug is stopped. And then in drowsy state, the questions are asked about the crime which he might have committed. Narcoanalysis, however, it is a controversial technique, but it was used with lie detector on underworld don Abu Salim. And upon his sustained interrogation, the gangster broke down and confessed to the murder of real estate developer Pradeep Jain in Bombay in 1995. So that is a classic case where polygraph and narco was used. Keep in mind that none of these technologies are used single-handedly. It is always a combination of technique. And it always starts with polygraph in combination with narco, polygraph with BIOS, polygraph with LBA. Polygraph is common. We start all the investigations with polygraph and then we proceed ahead. Forensic hypnosis is an upcoming technique in India. However, it is being used in foreign countries for dealing with victims and for rehabilitation purpose. Hypnosis is a procedure which involves cognitive processes like imagination, in which a subject is guided by a hypnotist to respond to suggestions for changes in sensations, perceptions, thought, feelings, and behaviors. The research shows that there is a difference between sleep and hypnosis, and hypnosis is closer to wakefulness than sleep, which involves alteration in consciousness and executive functions. So how to do investigation using hypnosis, where hypnosis is the main tool. It can be used to help people to retrieve forgotten memories that were either forgotten or repressed for ego protection without bringing up any negative feelings. So it is not used for investigation as such. Investigation meaning finding out the hidden information or extraction of information. No, it is used for retrieval of forgotten memories, especially for eyewitnesses or for victims who are under stress, who are under so much anxiety that they are unable to retrieve the details of the criminal act. So it is mostly used on victims and eyewitness and not on suspects who is being suspected that he has committed criminal act. The profile consists of various phases: pre-hypnosis interview, induction, information eliciting, dehypnotizing, and post-hypnosis interview. And every phase is well planned and well decided by the hypnotherapist. All the phases are recorded. The moment the subject enters till the subject exits, everything is audio video recorded. The script is prepared before the subject is brought for the hypnotic session, and during the session person cannot change the script. So a person who is trained in hypnotherapy need to do the hypnotic session. If the person is not trained, it is always preferred that don't use a therapist who is not a trained one or who has just started his practice. Otherwise he will play with the memory of the eyewitness, victim, and in case he is dealing with suspects, so there also. So he has to be well trained. It can also be used to make the subject feel relaxed for the criminal proceedings and trials and for better recall of memories. you know that when you are more relaxed, when you are comfortable, your memory is much more better than when you are in anxious state. So in criminal proceedings, to make the person less anxious, to build up the confidence, to bring back his memory, to recall the better memories and events, hypnosis can be used. Brain fingerprinting is another technology which is used by one of the universities, and they claim that the developer of the technology claims that they can find the truth through brain fingerprinting investigation. However, we can say that they can help in recognizing certain stimuluses which are related to criminal act, but not the level of participation of a criminal in the criminal act. Brain fingerprinting is usually termed as brain mapping, and get confused with another technology which is brain electrical oscillation signature profiling, BEOS. So these two technologies terms are interchanged sometimes, but for those who want to understand between the two technologies, this is the point where I think you should start learning and become aware about how these two technologies are different. Brain fingerprinting talks about the specific information stored in the individual's brain, and it is retrieved through relevant words, pictures, or sounds presented to a subject by a computer in a series with stimuli. So here the images are presented. The brainwave response is measured using a patented headband equipped with EEG sensors, and it measures P300. P300 is a response given by a subject's brain when a person has recognized a stimulus. For example, if I show you this stimulus and you recognize the stimulus as, what is this? Can anyone unmute and tell me what is this thing that is there in my hand? Pen. Diksha has said that this is pen. But can you describe details of this pen? Whose pen it is and how it has come to me? Is this your pen or is this my pen? Is this pen present at the crime scene? Yes, no? Any further responses about this pen? No. Why? Because brain has only capability to recognize a stimulus in terms of yes or no, and this yes or no is presented as P300. P300 is positive latency at 300 milliseconds. So brain has responded about recognition of this pen at 300 milliseconds. When I show you a stimulus and ask you what is this stimulus, your verbal response will take 3 to 5 seconds to respond that this is a mobile phone. But in your brain, the brain has already responded in 300 milliseconds. Imagine the difference between 4 seconds and 300 milliseconds. There is a vast reaction time difference. So this reaction time is measured through P300 response using brain fingerprinting technology. So it helps only in understanding whether this stimulus is being recognized by a person or not, but whether the person has used this stimulus as a suspect, as a victim or not, that differentiation is not possible through brain fingerprinting. I'm going to show you certain pictures. Just have a look and then I'll ask you questions. So what you have witnessed just now, what you have seen? Knife. Okay. How many knives? 4. Same or of different types? Different. Which one you recognized? Which one you think last one? Why last one? Why last one? Why not first, second, and third? No answer. Okay. So same thing happens when a stimulus is presented in front of the suspect. Now, since he has claimed that he has recognized the last one, that means he has used the last one to kill someone. Is it correct? Himani, you have used the last knife to kill someone. You are telling a lie. You have recognized the last stimulus. And you have no answer why you have recognized the last stimulus. That means you have used it to murder someone. Himani. The answer is that she has recognized the fourth one because she must have seen that knife in her kitchen or in her friend's kitchen or in her grandmother's kitchen or maybe in hotel kitchen where she has seen it with by a chef to use it for cutting vegetables. That could be her reason of recognizing that particular knife. That could be another reason for someone who has used the same knife to murder someone. So everybody's reason of recognizing a particular stimulus varies. When an investigative officer will undergo brain fingerprinting, he can also recognize the same knife because he has retrieved it from the crime scene. Similarly, a perpetrator who has used the knife will also recognize the knife because he has used it. So recognition has no further specification in terms of who has used the particular stimulus for which reason. And that is the limitation of brain fingerprinting. So it can only help us in understanding that the subject has recognized the stimulus. Why? That is not answered through brain fingerprinting. Now, when all these technologies were developing and being used in forensic setup in front of court, a judgment in 2010 has shattered the usage of polygraph, narco, and brain mapping, the so-called brain fingerprinting, because they talked about two things: right against self-incrimination, which is Article 23 of the Constitution, and Article 21, right to life and personal liberty. So these two rights, as per them, was getting affected when people are using polygraph, narco, and brain mapping. Narco, I can understand that it's an invasive technique, so it goes against the right of life and personal liberty, because there might be some consequences related to insertion of drug. So it can lead to cruel and inhumane way of treatment with the subject that is agreeable. But when it comes to polygraph and other technologies, polygraphs require yes or no answers. So, but in order to say yes or no for certain questions, the consent is taken. So that takes care of these two rights as per human right set by Supreme Court judgment. So that National Human Right Commission issue get resolved when we are using polygraph and other technologies like brain electrical oscillation signature profiling. I'll discuss how it take care of these two rights. So brain mapping, which is straight away rejected by court in 2010 because it uses P300 waves test. So brain electrical oscillation, brain electrical activation profile test, also known as P300 wave test, which is brain fingerprinting, got rejected by the court, and now it cannot be used in court for forensic investigation. You can see that it has given all the related information related to pictures, videos, and sounds presented through brain fingerprinting technology. But BIOS technology, which is different from brain fingerprinting, how it fits into forensic investigation and how court accepts it, that we will discuss now. Few people have also criticized investigation techniques that it affects a person's body or life. But I would like to bring your attention to certain technologies or certain techniques which helps in understanding the problems related to human being, which is used through electrodes. You can see a child is undergoing electrode EEG based recording to understand the problems related to brain functions. It is 100% safe, and because of which in medical procedure, all these technologies are being used. So before I talk about brain electrical oscillation signature profiling, I want to tell you that from human rights perspective as well as from health perspective, BIOS is 100% safe, and it protects human rights. How? One, that you can see on the screen that it is 100% safe, because even an old age person is undergoing EEG recording, a person who is attached with the accessories for sleep study, a child who is just newborn child is undergoing EEG recording to study his epileptic seizure. This child is also undergoing 32 channel electrode recording just to understand whether he is having any brain dysfunction or not. So same thing is occurring in BIOS, where the person is attached with the 32 electrode channel cap, and through these 32 electrode channel cap, the person's brain activation get recorded and analyzed, which says that the level of participation in the criminal act. BIOS profiling, which is known as brain electrical oscillation signature profiling, is used for forensic applications since 2009, and it is an internationally patented technology developed by Professor C.R. Mukundan. It's an Indian technology, make in India technology, and I with pride say that it was developed at DFS Gandhinagar under the leadership of Dr. J.M. Vyasar, who is currently heading our university as Vice Chancellor. Now, assumption is there that computer analogy information is stored in the hard disk, and for a person whose memory is stored in the hard disk, that is the memory of an individual. Information about the crime is also stored in the brain of the perpetrator. So if I have committed some crime, everything related to crime is stored in my brain. It cannot get transferred to your brain until unless I share the information. Now, sharing the information is different from committing an act. If I say that Priyanka Gopi has prepared this PPT. Now you check Priyanka's brain, you will not find any action associated with preparation of the PPT. If you want to check, she can only respond to certain PPTs because she has seen these PPTs on her computer laptop. But when it comes to the action related to preparation of this PPT, her brain will not respond in a positive manner. But if the same thing is done on me, because I have prepared the PPT, though my and Gopi's name are same, so Priyanka, anyone can get confused that it is being prepared by Priyanka Kakkad or Priyanka Gopi. So you can check both brain, and our brains will respond in different manner in terms of the action performed by both of us. Similarly, When a crime is committed, the crime is committed by the individual and the person has an experience of commitment of crime. In BIOS, the subject is not asked to respond in any manner. In polygraph, you have seen that the person has to answer in terms of yes or no. Here, no answers required. So when I said that it take care of human rights, so a person has all right to deny and not to answer a question. Here, we are not asking any question and we are not expecting any response from the subject. So a person who just don't want to sit on the system, he can just deny by not responding to the probes presented, and he can also not give consent. But after giving consent also, if he want, he can train his brain not to respond to the probes. The subject sit comfortably with eyes closed and listen to probes on which the brain activation is recorded. So here eyes are closed, the person sits in the relaxed position, only probes are presented in auditory form, and the subject just sit and listen to these probes. The brain automatically responds to these probes and the system analyzes and gives report. When it comes to sensitivity and specificity, TIFAC research work was done, which was DST funded in 2008, and the report shows that the sensitivity is 0.946 and specificity is 0.944. Highest score is 1 out of 1. These are the scores for sensitivity and specificity. This is how the person sits, and the cap is attached. Here is the amp, and the amp's responses are seen on another screen. Process for BIOS recording in forensic setup. Again, court's permission is required. Once the court's permission is there and the subject has given his consent in front of the court, forensic interview at forensic lab is conducted. Psychological assessment is done to check whether the person is not suffering with any brain dysfunction, is not having any psychological dysfunction. Introduction about the tool to be used is given to the subject. And here we are giving equal chance to the suspect to give his own statement. In other technologies, the subject's version is not taken into consideration. This is the only technology where not only the investigative officer's theory is taken into consideration, but also suspect's version is taken into consideration. And based upon these two statements, 2 sets of probes are prepared. These 2 probe sets are presented one by one to the suspect. So IO's version is also presented to the suspect and suspect's version is presented to the suspect. Consent is taken before the recording, and you will feel surprised that we show all the probes to the subject so that the subject knows that these are the things are going to be presented to the subject. So there is no right that get affected by any of these technology. We are 100% transparent in using any of these technologies. This is how the raw data look like. These are the probes. Probes are small statements which doesn't initiate any sort of response. You can see the subject sitting comfortably here, and the probes are presented one by one for which the person's brain responds. So for each probe, there is a response, and the responses which shows experiential knowledge, that is the matter of concern for us for analysis and investigation. So any probe which is relevant to the crime scene, if produces EK, experiential knowledge based response, that means the person has participated in the criminal act. So this is how the probes will look like. The striped probes are the EK probes. And you can also see the level of activation shown by a person's brain. Well, BIOS cases are huge in number. More than 500 cases underwent BIOS testing. One of the cases, serial killing, Nithari's serial killing, where BIOS investigation was used to find out how many kids he has murdered and what was the process, how he has done the act. I'm skipping these things. You can go through the researches done on BIOS, like recent versus past memory. So many people ask us that if the memory is new, and we do BIOS, then chances are there that we will get more information. What about the old memories? So we did the research work and we found that if the memory is impactful, if the event is impactful, it doesn't matter whether the memory is remote or recent, the person's brain will be able to recall and remember the memory in equal manner. And this has been published in BPR&D journal. You can also see the effect of repeated probes on creating experiential knowledge. People think that if you repeat same information, that will create experiential knowledge. No, it's not true. If the person has participated, it doesn't matter whether the probes are repeated again and again or not, information is repeated with him again and again or not, he will remember it. And if he has not participated, it doesn't matter how many number of times you share the information with the individual, it cannot get converted into experiential knowledge-based responses. There are future forensic investigative technologies also which are available at NFSU, and we are using it for research purpose to understand how it can be used for forensic investigation maybe in next 2-3 years. One is facial coding and micro expressions, which measures the micro expressions of the face in terms of happiness, disgust, the 7 expressions shown by human being all across the globe. So this helps us in understanding, especially the children's expression when they are responding to the questions, whether they have underwent any sort of abuse or not. So it is a non-invasive technique, just a simple interrogation is occurring and the person's responses are measured. Neuroscript is used for understanding handwriting analysis. Up till now, graphology has been used, but now we can use a scanned copy of suicide notes to understand that the handwriting belongs to the person who has died or it has been written by somebody else and kept it there. Eye detector with polygraph. Polygraph I have already explained. Now another technology that has come forward is eye detector, which measures the eye movement, pupil dilation, contraction, and eye blinking. So suppose a person is responding to your questions, he can manipulate his physiological parameters, but not the eye movement. Even eye movement get analyzed, manipulated, but not the eye pupil dilation and contraction. That cannot be controlled by an individual. So that gets analyzed by the system and it shows deception. Visual stress analyzers measures the blood flow on the face of an individual. So if a person is telling lie, we usually say that जब झूठ बोलते हैं तो चेहरा पीला पड़ जाता है या बहुत लाल हो जाता है. So that is why, because when a person tells lie or when the person tries to tell a lie, the blood flow increases or decreases. So that increase or decrease of blood flow on the face get detected by the system and it shows high stress or deception. Then the researches where you all can contribute into with forensic psychology is to develop statistical measures. We are only dependent upon the t-test, parametric and non-parametric sorts of research methodology. But now we have to develop more type of research methodologies because the type of sample and the number of sample we are getting for research work is very different from the normal researches being done by scientists. So in that case, we have to look for more statistical analysis. General psychologists can use their research work in forensic psychology to understand the factors associated with domestic violence, homicides, why a person getting into bullying, what are the factors associated with bullying, what are the consequences of bullying, suicide, rape, sexual harassment, pedophilia, workplace harassment, etc. General psychologists can contribute in forensic psychology by studying the personality of rapists, juveniles, domestic violence offenders, prisoners, white-collar criminals, and psychopaths. Organization psychologists can try to study more about their employees and to stop corruption, workplace harassment, whether the employees have job satisfaction or not, the recruitment process and the promotion process. Up till now, the promotion process is very different from the routine, what is required for understanding the skill and capability to get promotion. So these things can be explored more with forensic psychology. Pharmacologists who are in pharmacy, They can do research to explore the effects of drug and vaccine on brain and the personality of the individuals involved in criminal act. Cybersecurity professionals can work with cyber psychologists in order to understand why the cyber crimes are happening, what are the consequences of it, how they are targeting their victims on cyber world, investigation as well as for rehabilitation purpose. DNA and serologists from forensic science, they can help us in understanding the prediction of criminal behavior by understanding DNA and help in investigation. NDPS officials, they can find out the statistics of usage and its relation to crime. So people who are into criminal act, the offenders, what is the statistics of their usage of any sort of drugs and how it is affecting the crime rate. What is the rate of illegal usage of these drugs? Effects of substance on brain, aggression and criminal involvement, and types of crimes related to particular substances. So cocaine is related to a particular type of crime. That study can also be done. Advertising, media, television and film industry, they can study type of crimes, the etiology, the factors, and its effect and impact, the information that they are sharing with the normal individual or the public. What is its impact on individual when they share it through media and social media portal. Hospital management and administrators from forensic psychology, they can study the body organ parts for black marketing, hospital accidents and insurance claims. So for these aspects, they can use forensic psychologists. Prison psychologists, they can go for research work in prison counseling, mental health and well-being, aging in prison and its management. And this is how the overall structure look like if we can deal with each other in collaboration, and clinical psychologists can also work by studying the mental health of an individual and how it is leading to criminal behavior. So for any other questions or queries, you are free to write to me. And for instant question answers, I am now available for few minutes to answer your questions. I have to wind up by 3:50. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one question from Jason. Is BEOS effective in case of person suffering from bipolar disorder?
What do you mean by effective in case of persons? If it is investigation of bipolar disorder person, the moment we get him diagnosed as bipolar disorder person, we cannot do any sort of investigation. So there it is no. But for research work, if you want to understand more about bipolar disorder and how it is affected, related to any event of life, we can use BEOS for further analysis. But as I said earlier, that after court's permission, we do psychological assessment, and in assessment, if he is not found mentally sound, we cannot go further with any investigation technique. Forget about BEOS, we cannot do polygraph also. We are planning to use BEOS to understand schizophrenics, like the hallucinations they are getting is actual, or what type of brain activation is shown by a person who is showing any sort of hallucination under schizophrenia as compared to normal individual. So that type of research studies we can do at NFSU if anybody is interested.
Priyanka ma'am.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Gopi will be doing the honors. Before that, I have few questions.
Yes, sir.
Can MET students come to NFSU under your guidance for internship? If so, what is the formality and administrative formalities for that?
Sir, you all are most welcome to come to NFSU for internship. It's a paid internship, meaning you have to pay fees. I can share the internship policy with the fee structure approved by NFSU authorities. And you can write to me if anybody is interested for internship. We are basically providing summer internship, but our first internship program will begin in the month of December this year. So if anybody is interested, they can enroll in the December internship also.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
And ma'am, have you come across any case where the Honorable Court has given, consent for the subject to be tried for psychological interrogation in NFSU? And later on, after coming to NFSU, he reports to you the first day, and knowing fully that he'll be caught, the second day onwards, he never responds. Have you come across any case?
Sir, in fact, the case is just reverse. When people come, especially the person who has actually committed crime, he never said no to undergo any sort of investigation techniques. The person is so adamant and so confident, I would say overconfident about his capability to tell lie. He never said no to undergo any of these techniques. It is always an innocent who find himself anxious and what we say, he is not able to show confidence on others that he will find through his responses, he will find himself as an innocent person. Mostly the guilty person are ready to undergo any of these investigation techniques, not the innocent one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Participants, any other questions for such an excellent talk? And this allows you for doing a lot of dissertation, major projects, minor projects, NTCC projects. And Priyanka ma'am has very gracefully agreed for internship also.
Yes, sir.
For from December onwards, all MIT students will be eligible for with some nominal fee. You are most welcome to do that.
And if anybody is interested in doing research work using our systems, because these systems are very expensive and might not be available in other university and labs. So you are most welcome to use our system, again with the paid fees, but these systems will be available for small research work and dissertation projects also.
Thank you, ma'am. I think there are no further questions. And I once again thank on behalf of all of us for taking your time out of your busy schedule and giving such a wonderful session for today. And it was a pleasure listening to you, and it was a great lecture.
Priyanka, I just want to add.
Yes, sir.
Dear participants, you may not be knowing that Dr. Priyanka Kakkar ma'am is much sought after, the leading forensic psychologist in the country. And she's always busy with so many high profile investigations. So despite that, she has taken time from a busy schedule to be amongst us and spoken to us at such a length and such a beautiful talk, taking us to the whole world of forensic psychology. Thank you so much, ma'am, on behalf of Amity University, Noida, and Amity Institute of Forensic Science. I convey my profound thanks for your kind presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me. And I will be grateful if I get opportunity to come again and discuss more about forensic psychology. And in December, if I can meet your students for internship and other research aspects. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am. Without further ado, I would like to go on to the last session for the 15-day value-added course. Our guest speaker is Dr. Sujit Singh, Assistant Professor at Amity Institute of Forestry and Wildlife, specializing in conservation genetics and wildlife forensics. With over 13 years of research experience, his interests include genetics, wildlife forensic genetics, and ecological genomics of threatened mammals. So without further ado, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Sujit Singh. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, Priyanka, for this introduction. Thank you, Ravi sir, for inviting me, because my session was scheduled on last Friday, but unfortunately I could not, connect with you all. But Ravi sir provided me some small slot today, so I will try to discuss something. Whatever I have done when I was doing research and whatever I am doing currently at Amity University. So I'm just sharing my slides and I will start presentation. So I think, is it visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it is moving or?
Yes, sir, it is moving.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, guys. So as Priyanka told that I'm working with you all here in same block, J1 block in Amity Institute of Forestry and Wildlife, and I'm looking mostly this conservation genetics and wildlife forensic, things here in the department. So if you are talking about wildlife, and then it is very important to understand why wildlife is important and why India is important. So if you see the biodiversity hotspot in the whole world, India, the ranking of India is almost 17th, and we have lots of biodiversity, and you can see biodiversity in the form of different type of species, flora and fauna in different part of India. So due to this biodiversity, we have lots of benefits, but apart from this lots of benefit, many other challenges we are facing, and these challenges are ultimately affecting our biodiversity hotspot, our species, our flora and fauna, and they gradually affecting our species, and our species are gradually decreasing in number, in space. All these things are decreasing. And if you see the major reason for all these threats which will affect our species or our biodiversity, obviously habitat fragmentation, because we are the largest, our population is we are number one in the population in the whole world. So whatever large population we have in this landscape, that will certainly affect the habitat in which these species are living, and ultimately this fragmentation will be there, and that will affect the species. And if fragmentation will be there, movement will definitely restrict, that will restrict the gene flow, and definitely that will reduce the genetic diversity of population. And if population will be small, fragmented, genetic diversity will be lower, definitely inbreeding will be there, and that will affect the species. Apart from these anthropogenic activity, poaching is one of the major threat for the species. If you see the effect with the habitat fragmentation, species loss will take some time. It will take 10 years, 20 years to lose one species. But if you're talking about poaching, directly it will lose, we can lose in one day, we can lose 1 or 100 in animal of that particular species. So if poaching will be very serious, definitely that will affect our species, and rate of decline will be very fast. So in this sense, wildlife forensic is very important, and that is very challenging thing, because you all are working in the field of forensics, and wildlife forensic is part of one thing. But if you imagine that in wildlife forensics, in the normal forensic, whatever you all are studying in your curriculum,
Right, sir.
there we are dealing with only one species, that is Homo sapiens sapiens. But if you talk about wildlife forensics, we are dealing all those species, including your Homo sapiens sapiens. So if you see the Wildlife Protection Act, except mice and crow, all these species are anyhow protected. They are coming under Wildlife Protection Act. So whenever we are going for any kind of crime scene investigation, or we are receiving any case sample, we need to identify the species, and it can be any species, not only Homo sapiens. It can be any protected species. We need to identify them, then judiciary will work. So poaching is major threat, especially for the wildlife. And if we have a biodiversity hotspot here in India, we have lots of biodiversity, lots of species. So definitely identification will be tough and challenging. So due to that, wildlife forensic have their own importance for the wildlife conservation. And if you see all the global crisis, I think last week, Samyukta Madam, she delivered her presentation. So she must have, covered all these things, like this is second or third largest crime in the world. And this attraction, weight for wildlife, illegal trade. Identification is complicated due to lack of expertise. Conviction and penalties is very less. So people are involved more in that. And obviously, profit will be very high. Due to that, these criminals are getting attraction to do some crime against the wildlife. They are doing poaching and all these things. So I must, understand that Samyukta Madam presented all these things last week. So my talk is mostly dependent on the what kind of challenges we are facing whenever we are identifying the species, and what kind of question these forest department or judiciary wants to answer with the help of these forensic laboratory. So these things we will discuss here. So if you see the type of articles which we are receiving in the wildlife forensic laboratory, because I was privileged to work in two reputed laboratory in the India. They are the pioneer in this field and they are the authority by Government of India. My complete training was done in the Wildlife Institute of India. So where we deal with all kinds of articles, whatever articles you can imagine in wildlife forensics, all kinds of articles we deal there in Wildlife Forensic Laboratory at Wildlife Institute of India. And after that, I also worked for some time in Zoological Survey of India. That is one of the largest repository in the India, or we can see in the world, largest repository for the wild animal parts and product. So there they have one forensic laboratory. So I was privileged to work with them. I started one specific laboratory there. So I spent almost 3 years there. So we did lots of work and we standardized lots of protocol for the species identification. But if you see these kinds of articles, whatever articles we are receiving, like these bone samples, some these tie made up of skin of snakes, these breast paint, these musk deer part, these salts. So all the articles are very expensive in the international market. And whenever any enforcement agency will catch such kind of cases, so it is very important to prove that these articles are originated from some wild species. So these are the challenges we are facing. Many kinds of articles we are receiving. You can see these skulls, many skins. These articles made up of ivory of elephant. These are the different articles you can see. You can see in the market. Sometimes they are made up of some stone, but mostly if they are very you can see the how beautiful they are. They all are made up of elephant ivory. I saw many articles made up of elephant ivory. They are very beautiful and their market price is very high. So if you talk about what kind of article we are receiving, and sometimes these articles are normally we can identify based on the morphological characters, but many times we are facing challenges if these wildlife articles or any kind of wildlife parts and product, if they are furnished, if they are not intact, if their integrity is not maintained, then in these conditions we are unable to identify the species morphologically, and we are facing lots of challenges. So some of challenges I'm presenting here in front of you. So you can see this is the skin of hare, but this is exotic species. It is not presented in India. It is distributed somewhere in Europe. So this is European hare skin. It was caught in somewhere in Delhi by the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, and they sent to Wildlife Institute of India. But the thing was that there was no reference by the species. If you are getting such bunch of hairs, so we cannot identify the species based on these things. If you see these meat samples, we cannot say from which species this meat belongs. So in this condition, we are very helpless, and these are the major challenge in front of us. If you see such kind of feathers, if you are getting, you'll be clueless which species it belongs. Such kind of paint brushes, we are using paint brushes in our daily life. So it is very hard to identify the species that this is fake, or we can say this is plastic made brushes, or this is made out of hair. If they are the hair made brushes, then it is species belongs to some captive species, some domestic species, or some wild species. So these challenges we are facing daily whenever we are working in wildlife forensic facility, and identifying the species is major challenge for them. You can see these ties. These ties are made up of skin of snakes, and they are very beautiful, but identification is really tough. You cannot easily identify the species of this tie. Normally, if you check it, it looks like made up of some plastic or resin material. But if you go more in microscopic examination, some DNA examination, then things will be changed, and it may originated from the different snake species. So whenever we are receiving these kinds of articles, there are 3 or 4 major kinds of questions are coming whenever any agencies, seizing such kind of material, and they are sending whole samples to the forensic laboratory. Then they are asking these questions, and these questions are very important. First question is species identification, which is very important for any kind of judiciary or enforcement agencies. Whenever law enforcement agencies are working, species ID is very important, because whatever Wildlife Protection Act we have, based on the species, we have provision for the punishment. So if species is wildlife protection, if any species comes under the Schedule 1, then punishment level will be different. If they are coming under the Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4, then this punishment level will be changed. So identification of species is very important, which is very important for judiciary purposes as well as any law enforcement agencies. They are working in this field. Another question people are asking, that is for the individual identification. That is very important for law enforcement, especially for the forest department, for the management of the population. Sometimes they're asking for gender or source of origin. But in these 4 questions, first question is very important for a forensic expert. If they will identify the species, they will give that information to the court, and based on that, court will give their verdict. These 3 questions are mostly, they are very important for research and development purposes. They are very important for the making conservation plan for the forest department. But species ID is very important for all the law enforcement agencies, judiciary, all the person whosoever are involved in this field. This species ID is very important. So if you have proper type of protocol, proper type of methodology developed, approved, and we can say tested methodology, then you can easily identify the species. As I told earlier, that in human forensic we are dealing with only 1 species, but if you talk about this wildlife forensic, we are dealing all those species, which we can imagine here in this field. So it is very challenging task, and identification of species is really tough task for any kind of wildlife forensic expert. So if you talk about different type of methodology, these 3 methodology is very common. I hope you must have read in your academic curriculum, that is morphological analysis. If any type of morphological characters are intact with seized material, then we can easily identify with the help of morphological analysis. But one thing is very important for all kinds of methodology, we need to have a reference sample. If you identify the morphology of one seized sample, then you need to compare with reference sample. If all the characters of reference samples are similar to the seized material, then you can say something about species of origin. Similarly, many chemical tests are there. So if you do not have a reference material, then you cannot do it. So morphology and chemical analysis, they are really common things. These are the first step for the species identification. If we are failed to identify a species based on the morphology and chemical analysis, then we will go for the DNA analysis. That is, you all know, this is the most advanced technique. It's whatever result we are getting, their validity is more, we can say 90-95% accuracy. If you have in your samples, if you have in data, then your inference, your result will be more valid, and that will be admissible in the court. So if you talk about morphometric analysis, so if you see these articles, many articles, you can see here this jaw, some bone material of different mammals. You can see this, a claw of tiger, leopard, lion. These are the felidae species. Their claw are very important. They are very costly. You can see these are getting such kind of material where their integrity is maintained. Some morphological characters are maintained, then we can easily identify the species based on the morphological characteristic. So you can see here, especially your hair samples, they are very important, and getting hair sample is really easy task. And if you have hair sample, then you can easily see the pattern in front of microscope. And if you have reference sample, then you can compare the reference slide of that particular species with your case sample, and you can easily identify the species. So you know very well that sometimes you are doing medulla patterns, sometimes you are doing, you know, cuticular patterns. So these patterns are very specific. Species specific patterns are, you know, there. So you can see here this kind of pattern you can see whenever you are analyzing the hair samples. And once you analyze the hair sample, prepare your slide. Then after preparation of your slide, there is one you know manual is available, that is online available manuals. Here you will get all those species, especially mammals, which are in the trade. If there, if you see the database, some species are more in the trade. Based on that, Wildlife Institute of India developed this reference guide. So you can get a reference slide of all those species which is in trade, and you can easily compare it with your samples, and you can identify the species. So this manual is very important. You all can get it, that manual. If you are unable to get it, you can contact me. I will give you this manual. That is very important and most valid manual for identification of species based on the hair morphology. So this is very important manual. Sometimes you can see here lots of, you know, fake skin of tiger and leopard. They are floating in the market. People, what they are doing, they are just getting skin of some pet animal, livestock, sometimes dogs, and they are painting those skins. And if skin are painted, definitely we are very artistic manners. We are very what you call intelligent. We are doing a good fine art, and we are making some pattern of tiger, but we cannot compete with nature. But whatever pattern nature is making, they are very, you know, very unique pattern. And if you see any skin, if skin is very genuine, then you can see very fine pattern. And if you see any skin is you know fake, then pattern, definitely there will be some ambiguity will be there. So based on you know observation based technique, you can easily identify. Or sometime if you are you know just use some nail you know polish, nail polish remover things, then those paints will be removed, so you can easily see it. So many, you know, chemical methods are available to identify this fake and real skin. But main thing is, if you see the pattern, based on pattern, you can say that yes, these skins are real or fake. So you can see this kind of fake tiger skin you can get in the market. People are selling it in cheap price, but you know skin price is very high. So just if you see the pattern, based on the pattern, you can easily understand these skins are fake or real. So sometimes we are getting some articles made up of you know elephant ivory. So this is very important. Sometimes people are making article by ivory, or sometimes they are using some bone, camel bone or other animal bones. Just they are making article just like just polishing it. It looks like real elephant ivory, but they are fake in the market. So the main thing is that if you are getting any kind of such kind of article, you just you know make some hard you know iron or anything, you can take it, just rub it, then you can see these trigger lines. You can see in the left side, these trigger lines are there. These lines are there, and they have some specific angles. So angle is basically very important. I exactly not remember this angle, but some 60 or 90 degree things are there in Asian elephant. Angle will be different, and in African elephant, angle will be different. But yes, these trigger lines will be there, whatever lines you are getting. So if any article made up of elephant ivory and you are examining it, then you will get this trigger line. And if that article is made up of bone, then you can see this flat, you know, things you can see. So easily you can see, and you can identify this. But if they are very broken, if they are in small pieces, so you can see here these things. You just keep all these particles in front of UV light, and you can easily see that these bone samples, they will give you a little bit different kind of color, and this ivory, they will give you some different kind of color. So this color, based on coloration, you can easily understand the genuine and fake you know elephant ivory made up articles. So these are the very common thing. If you use in your laboratory, you can do it. Sometimes people are, you know, getting a genuine rhino horn or sometimes fake rhino horn. So if you do section of these rhino horns, or just see the basal part in front of microscope, then you can see here this genuine rhino horn, they have different kind of base pattern. And if you see the fake rhino horn, they have different kind of base pattern. So based on these morphological features, we can easily identify. If you see these things are available in the public domain, so you can use it, these reference slides, and you can easily identify the real and fake rhino horn, which is in the market, and they are very costly affairs. If people are selling these things, this is illegal, but still people are selling it in the form of real things or in the form of fake things. So this is very common in the market. If you are getting such kind of things, go for such kind of morphological identification process, then you will get some clue about real and fake rhino horn. Because if you see these brushes, so mongoose brushes is very common in the market. If you see nearby area of this region, especially Muradabad and Bijnor region, they are very specific for such kind of brushes. People living in this area, they are very good to kill these mongoose and making these brushes. This is very common things, and people are openly running this market long back. But in last 5-6 years, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau and different NGOs, they did lots of good job in that area. They made raid on many companies, and they found that lots of brushes in the market. And this mongoose is very common in this region, but this is now it is near threatened species. So people are concerned about that. And the main reason was poaching, just because of making such kind of brushes. So if you want to see genuinity of these brushes are made up of some wild animal hairs, or these are the normal domestic hairs or animal hair or some plastic thing. So you just take it and you can see here this pattern. So you can see here, this kind of pattern is very tough to made by any human or any artist. This pattern and this change in pattern, you can see the dark and then white and then mid type of things. So this kind of pattern, making this type of pattern is really tough. So if you are getting any kind of brush, just take some hairs and put it in front of microscope. You can see this pattern. If such kind of patterns are coming, then you can easily go for this is made up of mongoose thing. So you'll get some clue about that species, and you can seize those materials. So this is on spot identification methods I'm telling you, because these are my experience, because we did lots of things, just identify based on that, and after that we transferred all these things to the DNA based method, and we found our observation and DNA based observation both are completely similar. So if you are getting such kind of pattern in the hairs, you can easily give your report that these hairs belong to the mongoose. Many times we are getting skull, because tiger or any felid or any cat bones are very important. People are using this cat bone in traditional Chinese medicine. So these are the very important, especially felids, large cats. So you can see here, generally, if you are getting intact skulls, then you can, lots of measurements are available in the public domain. So you can actually identify from which species they are belonging. But if you talk about, some, fragile bones or not intact skull samples which you are getting, and anyhow, if this dental pattern is there, so based on dental pattern, you must have idea about this dental formula. So just see the dental formula, and if you're obviously if your this skull is broken, then definitely based on that, this is broken, but your dental places are present here. So based on that, you can easily identify that from which species it belongs. So upper jaw and lower jaw, we have this dental formula. Just put that dental formula, and you can tell about from which kind of species involved in such kind of things. Similar things, if you have elephant premolar and molar things, whatever cheek teeth we have for the elephant, you know very well that कि हाथी के दांत दिखाने के कुछ और होते हैं, खाने वाले कुछ और हैं. So these are the premolar and molar things. खाने वाले दांत होते हैं. So these tusk is different things. So whatever jaw we have, in those jaw we have premolar and molar, and you can see here, they have their own dental formula. So if you are getting such kind of articles, If you are confusing with bone, just see this dental pattern and put this dental pattern with this dental formula. You may get some idea about this belongs to the elephant or not. And these things are published. I'm telling you, you can get it, all these things in public domain. So these things. Similarly, for the deer species, if you have idea about this dental formula of deer species, just see the dental pattern, and based on that, you can easily say that yes, from which species it belongs. Similarly, for the pangolin, so this is not very common. Pangolin scale is very common, but we also developed some protocol, for that. But you can see here there is no dental formula for the pangolin. So if you are getting such kind of things, if there is some skull kind of things, but there is no dental thing, so you can suspect for this pangolin. So this thing is not published. That was our observation, but yes, you can get some some idea after looking such kind of skull samples. These felid species are very important. Tiger, leopard, lion, these are the very important, and their skulls are very common. So based on some skull morphology, you can also get some idea. So these are the pattern. Whatever, in right side, if you see, we have almost C1, C2, C3. These are the different, cranial patterns are here. So whenever you are getting any skull, so total central length, cranial width. So these are the different kind of parameters. You just, take measurement of all these parameters, and after taking measurement of all these parameters and just do PC analysis. So if you have data of reference sample, so your case sample may go somewhere, they will cluster with some known species, and you can easily identify, because this pattern, though they are changing, there may be some change if age will be different, but generally you can make some conclusion that from which species it belongs. So these are the identified keys, we can say. If you are taking length of these keys, definitely you will get some clue about the species if you are getting only skull samples of any species. So these are the things. I will take the measurement, how C1, C2, C3 are there. So if you are getting such kind of measurement, you can easily get some clue. Do PC analysis, you will get your result. You'll get one direction actually for your research, that from which species these things are belonging. But if these kinds of morphological characters are not intact, then DNA will come in the picture, and that will be the most promising tool if you are getting such kind of what you call articles. So for DNA, I think you all are have some idea about DNA. So once you'll get the biological samples like urine, saliva, claw marking, feathers, cooked meat, some exotic species, some kind of article, claw, any kind of bone of tiger or any species, any kind of skull, any kind of broken thing where morphology is not intact, then we can talk about species, gender, individual, and source of origin. But here I'm talking about only species identification based on the DNA based protocols. So you all know that whenever we are going for the species identification, mostly we are using mitochondrial DNA, because lots of evolutionary advancement, lots of evolutionary process are there, and these processes are not working on mitochondrial DNA. So diversity level will be very less in comparison to the nuclear DNA. So because this is uniparentally inherited DNA, so obviously recombination will be not be there. Then there will be some important thing. Those things will definitely help you. Sir.
Dr. Sujit sir.
Yes, sir.
Kind request for finish early.
Yes, sir, definitely. I'm compiling the thing, sir. So definitely this mitochondrial DNA is very important for the species identification. So generally in species ID, we are using this mitochondrial DNA, and that will be helpful for us. So definitely you all have idea about DNA extraction, then check it on agarose. These are the very basic protocol in any kind of molecular biology laboratory or forensic laboratory. So I'm not going in detail in these things. So you all have idea about polymerase chain reaction, what kind of master mix and what kind of reagents we are using for getting your amplification band, sometime for the cycle sequencing, for DNA sequencing. So all these protocols are very common. You'll get it on online platforms. These are the amplified, this is what I can say. This is your band of interest. what kind of band you want, what kind of size you want. That is it's very specific bands. Once you'll get such kind of product, you'll go for the sequencing. These kinds of result you will get. General things, if you go for the morphology, just primary checking. So if you are getting all these green thing, it means whatever DNA is present, whatever sequence is present, they are good in quality. There is no ambiguities are there. If red or yellow are coming, then they have some problem. You need to check it. And there are different softwares are there. You can go and check in all these software. If only one peak is there, then data is good. If you have peak within peak, then data is ambiguous, and you need to go check the quality of data. If you are not sure, then you can again go for the sequencing process. So these are the very technical things. If you'll do it, then you'll get. But softwares are available. Many things are available there. So if once you'll do all these things, then you will get such kind of sequences. You must have seen this kind of sequences. If you go in NCBI, you can see this FASTA format of sequence. And now this sequence is very important, and you can use it for the species identification. So if you have reference samples, if you have samples of known species, you can make some database. NCBI is very common database. Nowadays, people are also using this BOLD database, Barcode of Life database. Nowadays, but Indian judiciary, these databases are not reliable. Anyone can challenge them, because here lots of fake data is also available, and in court, they are more reluctant to rely on this database. Due to that, Wildlife Institute of India or Zoological Survey of India, they are the authorized body. They have their own database. So based on their own database, they are giving the report to the judiciary, and their reports are admissible in the court. So Wildlife Institute of India and JSI, they have developed a protocol for all kinds of reference sequence for all kinds of species, which is in trade in India. So mostly all species data, you can get it at Wildlife Institute of India site, and you can also see in the NCBI BOLD database. So all the database, if you see any sequence developed by Wildlife Institute of India, you can rely on that, because they have all the samples in their repository. Almost more than 10,000 samples they have, and they belong to 300 species of mammals or many other species which is in trade. So Wildlife Institute of data is very reliable data. So I will discuss, Ravi sir, 2-3 cases, and then I'll compile the things. So you can see this exotic species is very demanding in India. So if you go in the peninsular part of the world, you can see here, especially Southeast Asia, these baby chimps are very common. There, people are smuggling through northeastern border or through Kolkata region. When I was working in JSI, then we received some query from the New Alipur Zoological Garden. They told that lots of chimp species they have caught by some smuggler, and need to identify the species and their relatedness. So we went there and collected the samples, and after collecting all the samples, there is no specific kit for the chimpanzee. So what we did, we had human kit for the human identification kit. So we applied those kits, and luckily we found the result, and we identified all whatever species they have, whatever individuals they have, they are unrelated. They are not related with each other. It means these are the individual different cases. These cases are not from one place. They are taking animals from different places and doing their illegal trade here in India. So this was one case. And one more very important case there. One fellow, he posted on Facebook that he is eating civet meat. Civet is one canid species, and this is very important. It's a critically endangered species. And anyhow, Forest Department saw these things, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, this northeastern region, and they made some raid, and they found some meat there, and they sent this sample to us, because we had database of civet. Then we identified all these things, and we found that that sample belongs to the palm civet, and that person was booked under the Wildlife Protection Act. So this was the things. Another case was a very interesting case. If you see the movement pattern of elephant, that is very common between India, Nepal, and Bhutan. So in 2018, we received some ivory samples from the Siliguri region from India, and same time we also found some information about some poaching in the Nepal, because we have good connection in the Nepal. So those people told us that whatever sample you have received in Siliguri, that was basically posed in Nepal, and people smuggled there. They are going to Bhutan, but anyhow they caught in the Siliguri region. So with some this legal channel, we took samples from Nepal and whatever sample we had in our laboratory, and we did some genetic analysis, and we found that these are the samples what we received from both the places. And after identification, we found that whatever samples we received from the Siliguri as well as in the Nepal, both are the different animals. It means whatever poaching case was in Nepal, that was different, and whatever poaching case was we observed in the Siliguri region, that was the different. So, but there is challenging things. Due to that, we recommended for making some database of all these regions so that we can easily identify the species. Similarly, if you see many things we did. One more study was there, from Forest Department of West Bengal. We received some gallbladders, and they suspected that all gallbladders belong to the bears, because bear biles is very important. They're very costly things, and this is very illegally traded in the market. So after identification of species, what we found, some either 2 gallbladders belong to the sambar deer, and 1 gallbladder belongs to the domestic cat. So domestic cattle. So you can understand how people are doing fake trade, and they are earning the money. So they are telling these are the bear biles, but certainly they are from deer species or some other cattle species. So these kinds of scenario we have in public domain. People are knowing. Many times we ask these culprits, they are telling we know that these are the things, Wildlife Protection Act are there, but still they are doing many more things. So though do have many cases, but I'm not going to discuss all these things. So thank you, Ravi sir, for giving me opportunity and discussing something. But students, you all are here in same block. So whenever if anybody is interested, they can come to me. We will discuss these things and we can work together lots of things. So thank you all. And now I'm going to establish one laboratory here for DNA forensics. So I have funds from DST. So soon in 2-3 months, I'll receive fund and I'll start working on that. So if anybody wants to work with me, they can work with me. No issue for that. Thank you, Ravi sir, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Sujit sir. Thank you so much. You are the rising star of MIT University. We all know that, with almost 50+ international publications to your credit, and so many projects coming under your belt with your under your leadership. I'm sure MIT students will get a lot of benefit, and soon they'll be, with a line and queued up, they'll be in front of your office requesting for dissertation and internships. Thank you so much, Sujit sir, for joining us despite your busy
Thank you very much.
schedule.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Participants are requested, if they have any question regarding this particular speech, so they can ask now.
Chintan, we can skip the questions. We are
Okay,
already late.
Sure, sir. So I would like to invite Dr. Jyoti Singh to initialize the validatory function. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chintan. A very good evening to one and all present over here. Myself, Dr. Jyoti, Faculty Coordinator, once again welcome you all on behalf of Amity Institute of Forensic Sciences to the validatory function of 15 days long value-added course on new dimensions of understanding forensic pathways for skill enhancement. I'm sure that you all have enjoyed and learned a lot in this 15 days long value-added course. As we all know that prayer is the most powerful tool the mankind has, we would start our validatory function with the prayer. For this, I would like to call Mr. Chintan. Chintan, over to you.
Okay, ma'am.
Sir, audio not coming, sir. Sir, audio not coming, sir.
Chintan, audio not coming.
Okay.
Sir, your audio is not coming.
Chintan sir, please click on share sound button. You can see in more option.
Yes, sir.
You can see in more option on top menu. Share sound button, sir. Please check.
Uh,
Share sound button, sir.
Share sound. I'm not getting it, sir.
On top menu, sir.
Wait, sir. I'll do it. Wait, sir.
Okay, sir.
Jyoti ma'am, Honorable Ratan madam is coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chief guest ma'am is coming.
Sir, I have called you.
Yes, sir. I'm calling her. I'm calling her. Sir.
Yes, sir, I'm here. Good morning.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Namaskar.
afternoon, sir. Sorry, sorry, I am in another meeting, but I have just joined from the meeting room only.
Pleasure, ma'am. Pleasure, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chintan sir, audio not coming, sir. Chintan sir, when you share your screen, please check. You can see a share sound button, sir. Sir, please reshare your screen, sir. I am stop sharing your screen. Now reshare your screen, sir. Please click on share screen button. Now you can see a share sound button on left corner. Please check on that button and yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coming now.
शुक्लां ब्रह्मविचारसारपरमाम् आद्यां जगद्व्यापिनीं वीणापुस्तकधारिणीम् अभयदाम् जाड्यान्धकारापहाम् हस्ते स्फाटिकमालिकां विदधतीं पद्मासने संस्थितां वन्दे तां परमेश्वरीं भगवतीं बुद्धिप्रदां शारदाम्
Thank you, Chintan.
Thank you.
Now it's time to call upon the driving force behind this value-added course, Professor K.V. Ravi Kumar sir, for the report. Please welcome Professor K.V. Ravi Kumar sir.
Good evening, all here. It's my pleasure to conclude and put forth a brief report on this program. Thank you, Jyoti ma'am, and thank you entire AIFS team. Thank you, my all researchers. Thank you, Manshu sir, all my colleagues here. It is indeed a very satisfying moment for me as a program director. In my rating, the program was highly excellent, conducted very professionally by one and all, and we could bring in the best speakers in India. Why did we bring the best speakers? The main reason behind that was to give the students, the real connect for the research, real connect for the internship, real connect for their NTCC, and real connect to, to motivate them for publishing more research papers in high profile index journals. So that was our brief motto. And to tell the range of subjects we have covered, we have covered almost all range of relevant forensic topics which are current and prevalent in today's context of crime investigation. Topics such as call data records, psychological interrogations, CDR analysis, wildlife forensics, audio-video forensics, quality control, odontology, career progression in forensic science, forensic entrepreneurship, and more relevant topic like forensic auditing and accounting. So students of BSc and MSc Forensic Science have a plethora and basket of subjects which they can venture into for their NTCC, which they can venture into for their new research areas, and to pursue a PhD post their PG programs, choose right topic for their PhD programs. And this VSC has provided them an enabling platform through which they can pursue academic excellence and aim for bigger thing in life. So in brief, I'm really grateful to Honorable Founder President Sir, Honorable Chancellor Sir, and Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir for giving us this platform of conducting this very valuable and enriching value-added program. I am thankful and grateful to Honorable Dr. Sunita Ratan ma'am for joining us today as chief guest in this valedictory function despite her valedictory schedule. Thank you so much, one and all. And thank you, my dear participating students. You have given us an overwhelming response of 300 plus registration, and all through all the students, even the students were so studious enough that they made it possible to attend the program on Saturday also, and they were with us for more than 4 hours, undergoing various rigorous review process of conducting crime scene mock tests and assignments. Thank you so much. Over to Jyoti ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for such brief overview. Now, in continuation, on behalf of Amity Institute of Forensic Sciences, I consider it privilege to welcome the chief guest of today's validity function, Professor Dr. Sunita Ratan ma'am. Professor Dr. Sunita Ratan ma'am is Dean, Science and Technology and Director, Amity Institute of Applied Sciences, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Noida. She has held many administrative and academic positions throughout her career. She has a rich experience of 25 years in academics and research. Madam, your presence is indeed a source of motivation to us. We are looking forward to your valedictory address today. Welcome,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Dr. Jyoti. Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to congratulate Amity Institute of Forensic Science to conduct this 15 days value-added programs on new dimensions of understanding forensic pathways. I really congratulate Dr. Ravi Kumar and the very strong team which has really helped him to organize, because 15 days is not a short duration. Finding speakers for 15 days and then keeping the students intact, the students making the lectures so interesting. Dr. Jyoti Singh, Dr. Shipra Rohtagi, and all the team members. I think it's Dr. Himanshu, Dr. Biswa, all have worked very nicely, very hard work to give value addition to the students, because value added subjects are the subjects which are not the core, because MIT has already given so much core to them, but it is adding the values to the courses so that they are good, they are nicely employed. They have the MIT edge when they go for employment. They have got this MIT edge because they have done more courses than any other student with whom they are competing. So I think this was a very apt program, and I was just going through the program. It was such an enriching program where the speakers from all over India have come and have shared their works and have shared their thoughts. And I think online and offline, both hybrid mode, has made this program very interesting, very informative. And I'm sure that the learning for the participants in these 50 days program is going to be a life-changing scenario as far as their learning and research teaching is concerned. I congratulate Dr. Ravi Kumar and the team members along with highly efficient team to put in all the efforts. Without the commitment and the contributions of the team, this event would have not been possible at this time. I think that outcome of this value-added development will provide a milestone for our students so that they can say that Amity has given them the edge which we are so sure of, that our students should get the best. So thank you so much for calling me, and it was great to be part of the concluding ceremony of this program. And once again, I wish that you keep on organizing these training programs for the benefit of our students, because in students lie our success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words and motivation. and also gracing this occasion. Thank you so much once again. Now, in continuation, last but not least, I would like to call upon Dr. Himanshu Khajuria, HOI, Amity Institute of Forensic Sciences, for the vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Himanshu.
Thank you, ma'am. So, good afternoon, all. I feel honored and privileged to get this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. I, on behalf of organizing committee, convey my deep regards and heartfelt thanks to our founder President Sir, Chancellor Sir, Vice Chancellor Madam for their blessings and support in organizing this event. I would also like to thank all the invited speakers who blessed us with their presence, constant guidance, and support to shape the program. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling months in advance. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated faculties, staff, and volunteers from the Amity University. I wish you all a wonderful learning experience ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.